Peace, brother born.
BB48.
B48.
What's going on today, fam?
That much. Glad to be back on the line again.
No doubt. Got a little ice. I got a little ISIS segment playing a little bit in the background, I mean. For the moment, waiting for the, you know what I'm saying? We wait for our other co-hosts to call in, you know what I mean?
All right.
You know, feet on the ground. We're feet on the ground radio. We going to, you know, so we running it. Brother James, if you call in a second, he just hit me up. Can you hear that ISIS segment?
I can hear it faintly. I can hear it in the background right now. It was louder before I got on the phone.
It was louder when you got on the phone?
Before I got on the phone, yeah. I was listening on the computer.
Yeah. All right, so, you know, that's all I'm going to do real quick. If you got any news or anything you want to go ahead and spill in, go ahead.
I'm looking forward to getting on this topic. This topic as far as the Europeans World War I and II and its effect on the diaspora. You know, looking forward to touching on some things a little bit before World War I and II. All relative, though.
Go ahead, do you know what I'm saying? Give a little monologue then, you know what I'm saying, about your thoughts on you know, some of the activities before then. You know what I mean? Until we slide on there with Brother James.
All right. Well, I was going to talk about the Namibia genocide that occurred by way of the Germans. You know, it's kind of like the Holocaust before the Holocaust.
All right.
So it's kind of like the prequel. It was a prequel to what ended up happening to the Jews in Germany. So I just want to touch on that at some point, but just put that out there. I think it's important. A lot of times we get atrocities get memorialized, and the victims the certain victims stay victims forever. So, with regards to how a lot of wars Europeans have waged, how they affect Africans, usually they've done it to us first, and then they're practicing they're doing what they practiced on us to each other. You know, so even from weapons proliferation, you know what I'm saying? I was watching something on. I was watching some documentaries with my son the other day about Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and they really just wanted to test what they've been practicing or what they've been putting their minds to creating, and they just needed someone to use it on. It just wasn't going to be them. But after the fact, now you had the Cuban Missile Crisis, and you had all these other types of situations now where everybody's fearful of having some nuclear weapon hit their space or be detonated in their land. Specifically Europeans, and they're the ones who first brought this type of this stuff to the world. I'm not even gonna say the world front, to the world. And so now their biggest fear is someone doing what they did to other people to them.
Yeah. Definitely.
It's crazy. So you could go from I just mentioned the nuclear weapons. You can talk about even the chemical weapons. The chemical weapons is another thing they promote as something they're highly afraid of, and it's supposedly offenses for countries that use chemical weapons on their civilian populations. But the United States uses chemical weapons on indigenous peoples and has used it on indigenous peoples ever since they come in contact with them. So that's another thing you hear about. If you look at Syria, Iraq, and some of these other quote-unquote Middle Eastern countries, when they have some sort of civil unrest, it's chemical weapons, When it has to do with them dealing with allies, well, not allies, but individuals they're competing with in their regions, it's a nuclear issue. So those are the two things that Europeans traditionally have used on us, and then now we kind of use on ourselves, or I won't say we use on ourselves, but that's the threat or the risk that's promoted out there as far as the world stability, chemical or nuclear, which one?
Mhm. Right. I'm looking at the impact. In the late 1890s to 30s, man, it was just a lot. It was definitely a lot of things going on. I'm sitting here right now. Just getting some documentation out to go along with our brother James. As soon as he get in, so that's what I'm doing right now. Putting together a little bit of extras. You know what I mean, to throw in on top of it. Also, I have some statistics. Wanted to go over through some. I have statistics on a couple things. What's happening right there in the 20s and just economics. So I'm putting those things together right now.
Brother boy, you looked outside and seen the snow? Part of itself. Do a quick weather report real quick. I'm gonna just throw it out there. A lot of people were sleeping. They just were saying, and so you see the process going on outside occurring. It's getting more inches and things, and people slow down. I'm glad it's slowing people down, though. To be honest with you.
Glad it's slowing the people down, son.
Glad it's slowing people down out there. They say inclement weather is an ally, though, under certain situations.
Mhm. Well, you got to utilize it. You got to utilize the weather to your best. You know what I'm saying? To your advantage. You dig? Always got to utilize it to your advantage. You know what I'm saying? So I tell people that all the time. That's what you better be doing that. You know what I mean? When they get this time of the year, you know what I mean? You got to start thinking about what can I do in this time of the year that I couldn't do in other times of this year. You know what I mean? You got to be thinking this. You got to have to be thinking strategically about what targets are targets during different times of the year. And because of inclement weather, a lot of times it's harder to get to places and easier to get away from them. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Hard to
You're right.
get away from. So, that's something that, I tell people you got to check that. Got to check that. So that's what time it is right now. It's that winter season, especially for up here. That's why the other day when we was building, I'm talking about, environment, our environment impact. When you don't got snow like this, see, like when people don't got snow like this, they don't really understand how the environment up here make you mean. You know what I'm saying? How they really, people don't really be seeing how much meaner the people are. Just in general, their attitude, they just mean. Being up here in Connecticut, you know what I'm saying? Up in this cold and up in this snow, that now I understand how that if you lived in an icebox like that for a long time, you would be a not nice person to deal with. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It'll make you not friendly at all. It'll make you very unfriendly. It's a very unfriendly environment. And that was the thing I was saying, like, now the further south you go, it's a more friendlier environment. You know what I mean? I remember when I first, when I first recollected, like, really moving to down south, and I was, I was like in the 9th grade and shit. So, we going down south, man. Once you hit, like, North Carolina, man, you could be in cities, man, and motherfuckers don't even know you. They waving and shit off the porch, man. You driving by, like my father had already been down in North Carolina for a little while. So we driving by and shit, I see people waving. I'm like, nigga, how you know these people? I'm like, you know these people? Because, I'm from Connecticut. They're not waving at you, man. Unless they know you. So it's like something, if they know you, and if they don't know you, they definitely not going to definitely mess with you at all. Germany refuses to acknowledge massacre and genocide. One of the guests threw a link in the chat room. I'd like to thank the guest for the link in the chat room. If you give me your name, I'll let them know who did it. So I know you.
That was me, Brother Born.
Oh, that was you. Oh, okay.
That's all right, though. That's good. That's good.
Man. Well, like I was saying, you down there, you like, Dad, go on, man. Why are these people waving? Like, I don't know these people. I'm like, yo, what's up with that? And then the longer I stayed down there, I just noticed that was how they acted. That was their way. Like, even like, that was just their way. You know what I'm saying? To wave and to speak to people. So I was like, that just it was a shock to me that people would do that. Because like I said, man, I grew up here in Connecticut, and in Connecticut, don't nobody waving to you that don't know you. People not speaking, and if you looking at them too long, they more than likely got a problem at why are you looking at, why are you staring at me this long? You feel me?
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? That's the type of mentality and attitude most of the people have around here. You know what I'm saying? Yo, did you get a chance to watch that Shaka Amos video?
I got to watch the first 10 minutes.
Yeah, I don't know if it's more than what.
I think it's more than that, but nah, my internet was messed up, so
yeah,
I aborted early.
Yeah, well, it wasn't really. I don't know. I wish I had a better system and let the shit play. And let it play through so you can hear the nonsensical nonsense. You know what I'm saying? What I felt like was nonsense anyway, so I could get a better answer. I posted to his, he was talking about he had the Almost Rocks. He wanted, I got a Facebook fan page, so I went there and left a message on his goddamn fan page because I was totally motherfucking dissatisfied. I feel like the people were disenfranchised with the whole situation, and I wanted to question him on that because it seems that since nobody's seen the footage, I mean, it was so like, all right, there was so few people here that you don't really, you know what I'm saying, no people not really out to the whole world, you know what I mean? So it was a good thing that we had somebody who was there who wasn't debating. You know what I mean? So we got a little, pretty much got an inside look into the situation of what was going on, of what happened. Now, besides that, in the meantime, between time, you know what I mean, of our brothers telling us what happened, we get a response from the brother, and he's telling us that, you know, basically he won the debate because, you know, people came in. You heard what he said, right? You heard what he said, right, Mike?
Who, Brother Shaka?
Yeah, about why he won the debate. Oh, why he felt like he won.
Why did he say he won?
He felt like he won because people was clapping for him when he came through the door.
Oh yeah, he was going off the rush of the crowd. Oh man.
Yeah. Not scholarship. It was because
I'd say, what about the claps after you do a debate? You're supposed to pay attention to those claps, not the claps before the debate.
Yeah, man. So, you know, I was like, nigga, I said, because them niggas in the Kool-Aid, nigga, them niggas is on some religious shit. That's why the fuck they clap, nigga. Because they on some religious shit. That's why they was clapping. They didn't want to feel like they was going to get let down. They was happy to see your ass come through, not get let down. You know, just have Black Power take a loss like that. You act like you stand on the back of Dr. Ben and motherfucking, you know, you on the back of Dr. Ben and John Harris Crofton, and they would never showed up an hour and a half late to a motherfucking debate against no Muslim, knowing they was about to go put the smack down on their candy ass. Wouldn't have been no late. They'd been early with plenty of motherfucking references, boxes full of books. You know what I'm saying? So you know, even you saying you ain't have no PowerPoint, you didn't care about the PowerPoint. If you had books, that would have did good. You know what I'm saying?
He would still have to be reading from them for reference purposes, though. When you match in fact against fact.
Those sports said they've been adding $23 shipping to the online streaming access. That's exactly. You know, them niggas hit me with shipping and handling for tickets I bought online, and I put the motherfuckers out. And matter of fact, I couldn't even get the fucking tickets printed out. But the niggas charged me for shipping and handling. That's what kind of bullshit is this? $38. The golf say it was $38 fucking dollars for that goddamn debate, man.
Wow.
All together. That's $38 times 7,900, almost 8,000 people downloaded that shit, G. I know when I seen it, it probably was more than that because when I seen it was at 7,900 and change. G.
Wow.
Yo, G, my G, man. The niggas came up, son. Niggas caked up, son. And I hope Bass call in today because I want Bass here to see. I don't even want to put it out. What he said to me, I want him to be able to put it out his own self on these jokers, you know what I'm saying? These niggas, man. These niggas crazy, man. $38, man. $38, man. This is what they doing. They robbing the Black Power people. See, because Black Power people willing to support, man. We've been so down that we willing to support everything that's in Black Power because we know we should be supporting each other. So these niggas using that shit against us. They using it. They using our love against us. Our love for wanting something better, they using it against us. So I'm
gonna put this out there since you said that. I remember we were having a conversation about Tariq Nasheed and how he was originally fundraising for the Hidden Colors 3. You know, he said he didn't care if he made $1 million. If he raised $1 million, the more the better, because it doesn't cost that much to make it. So the idea is that he's gonna get rich off of promoting facts, you know, to some extent. I'm not saying that you shouldn't make a certain amount of money off of it, but when you're talking about selling DVDs for $30 and the cracker selling his blockbusters coming out the movie theaters for $12 and $15, you know, it's extremely overpriced and it's hard to compete in a market like that. So I would think that, you know, that's just to add on. A lot of people are worrying about that extra profit, and they want more profit each time. It's capitalism.
Yeah, man, they want more. Son, they found a new population of rob, and they want more than the fucking lion's share. Even the lion don't want that fucking much, man. Even the fucking devil don't want that much out the fucking people. How the fuck you want? How you want that much opportunity?
Right.
Fuck, you know what I'm saying? When the government is take the motherfucking charge, how you gonna charge people some shit like that, man? These niggas is, yo, man, these niggas reckless, man, and they reckless because, like I was saying before, don't got enough real G's in the conscious community. And it's quote unquote conscious community. It's too many book reading niggas, man. And I ain't saying there's nothing wrong with reading books, but it's too many vegans. You know what I mean? Too many vegetarian niggas. They don't want no beef. Word, son. Too many niggas don't want no beef, man. So they allow it. So they found out that they can come in there and goddamn rob niggas. And they think it's sweet because they thought them up with a sweet crowd of niggas who don't want no beef. But niggas, I'm glad I wasn't near. I'm telling you, I'm glad I wasn't near, son. Because the nigga couldn't have robbed me like that. You couldn't have came in an hour and a half late.
Yeah, that's wild.
You could have came like that, man. You could have came like that. You could have came like that. You could have came like that. Real life, man. You couldn't do no shit like that. I think that was slave.
Wow. So I don't know. I think the cheapest ticket you could get would be the New Covenant.
He said it was 500 people. Maybe that was over. Maybe what I was reading was that was how many people over time had been to his page or something. I read that shit 7,900 and change, man. When I got up there that same day.
I said regardless, he still came off.
Regardless of who it was, nigga still came off, right? That's 500 people times 40, son. That's still 20 stacks. I want to know, what are they doing? See, because when you pooling in money like that, see, this is what I look at it. I look at it like, I don't think it's wrong, but when you pooling in money like that, then you're supposed to utilize that money to branch out to helping the fucking people.
Yeah, it's like,
you know what I'm saying? This shit is supposed to be used to build all of us up. But these motherfuckers ain't using it for no shit like that. Now I'm telling you, not at all.
You know what they're doing? They're reinvesting it. right into the media.
Yeah,
you know.
Yo, you said that. That's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, yo, you know what? This nigga polite. After that first time he did that motherfucking shit and he invested in bringing Umar and all of them down, he figured that was a nice hustle. Because in his fucking debate against SETI, the nigga even said, he even alluded to the fact that, yo, it didn't matter because you got niggas money. He alluded to that shit. So now I'm like, yo, man, what kind of shit is this, man? You know, how you do people like that? Now, I'm telling you, I'm glad I wasn't there because I would not have been cheering, clapping, or anything for anyone who comes an hour and a half late and brings no references and then pretends to me as though because I'm supposed to be down with African history scholarship that I'm supposed to just allow him to talk me through this shit. You know what I'm saying? And I'm supposed to just allow that. I'm not going to allow nobody to just talk me through something. You know what I mean? This is ridiculous. There's no way that something like this can go on and we allow it and allow these people to be brought up as credible around us. You know what I mean? That's definitely was way out of line, man. Way out of line for this type of for our community. Because like I said before, man, we looking at this as a community. You know what I mean? That's why you can go there and you see so many different sects of people, and people don't mind being around each other. We don't think, because I've been to, you've been up there to New York. You've been here to venues where it's Muslims there, it's goddamn Buddhists, it's the vegans, it's the esoteric.
No, but everybody, yeah.
It's mostly Hebrews. Everybody, there's Rastas in there. Everybody, and the shit is love. Ain't nothing but love. Ain't nothing but love. Everybody in there understand that we black for the most part. Mm-hmm. The majority of the people is like, yo, we black. And then all of them feel like they're around family because if they didn't, they would not come. They would feel uncomfortable. Because it's always, they would feel uncomfortable. I'm saying that because it's never crackers in there. It's always all black. So you would have to feel real comfortable around black people to come to some of these events. So then that's how I know that the people at least look at each other like brothers and sisters. And And Amos played it like he was scared because the Muslims might kill him, and Muslims crazy. You debating the Muslim, you might get the Allahu Akbar. And there ain't no shit like that going on, man.
Yeah, I know. That's like the same. That's like the same thing they did with the polite SETI. You know, oh, this was getting reckless. Someone's gonna get hurt, and if you was there, you knew it wasn't that. It was actually brothers representing self-control over anything.
Yo, B, you saying that shiny whip? I almost forgot that's how Polite was playing it. He was playing it like niggas was gonna come near and beat him
and harm him.
Yeah, son. And so this nigga Shaka Most played the same shit, son. Well,
yeah.
Yo, I didn't even think about that. Man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I like to welcome Brother Hey Root to the room. You know what I mean? Beautiful F.O.G. My old chap. But you know what I'm saying? I wasn't thinking about that at all.
Yeah.
Man. That was a wild thing right there, man. So this is where I'm going down. I'll be down there 22nd, going to the last thing. I was disheartened when I looked at the flyer and I seen that Polite is sponsoring the joint. I called, you know what I'm saying? I put the fillers out to Sarah Suicide and like, yo, look, man. Y'all battle rap son. Say that shit, battle rap. That's exactly what I was saying this shit was. This shit like battle rap now. This shit like battle rap, son. These niggas is, yo, I'm telling you, yo, guess what must be reading my mind because I swear to God, this is exactly what I was saying after this shit like battle rap, man. Well,
I'm Otto Tap of BB Fahodia. You 100% right. It is like battle rap, yo.
How you right there?
It's all good, man. Go ahead, continue, man. I mean to cut you off.
Nah, no doubt, dog. We good, you know what I'm saying? I'm just sitting here thinking about what the brother just said in regards to, how people pretended, as though they were going to be harmed. I really took it as we were talking. Did you see the video that the brother Shaka Mosul was to debate Imam Bashir? Did you see his post-debate, like, analysis or whatever?
Nah, I didn't. I got to check that out.
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna link you with it. I'll make sure I link you with it, man. And you gotta see. You have to see this recklessness that I put out. You know what I mean? It was definitely. I don't know. You have to see it. You have to see it because since you was on the line to hear Brother Bashir what Bash had to say. So, I would want you to look at it because it was definitely something that for people to take and think about. You know what I mean? I'm looking for it right now. But again, we just discussing how we just being pimped out, man. They like the guests say, man. They using this shit like battle rap. You know what I mean? They realize that they got an audience, man, and they just capitalizing off the audience as much as possible. And the same thing like Brother Calls was saying, like what Son doing with the hidden colors, He gonna tell people that it don't cost much for me to make this, but he's trying to get as much as he can off of it. He's trying to get as much in as possible to produce it, and then off of the product, trying to maximize his profit off of it by selling it at the highest price possible. You know what I mean? This is how if y'all sincerely think that there's something wrong with us, why the fuck? I'm not saying don't get paid, but man, why try to get rich off me? Why are you trying to get rich? All for the value of people, man.
This goes back to people that think about themselves and they only out for self. If you got love for your people and love for the community that you're in, you're not going to take advantage of your people and take advantage of your community, man. So, this is something, this all goes back to the last show that we had. This is something that needs to be dealt with accordingly. These individuals that's doing that, there has to be some type of punishment put down. Because if there isn't, it's just going to continue and it's going to spread on. I'm quite sure. No, go ahead, yo.
Go ahead, brother. Hey, I'm listening. I was going to just say something when you finish.
I'm quite sure a lot of people in the community, no matter where you stand or, no matter what your principles is, that individuals that are like this. And, this shit is sad, And even if you sit down and you talk to them, it's not going to make a difference. It's fucked up that I got to say this, but it might be to the point where you have to actually put hands on this man to beat a lesson into him. And, I'm going to leave off on that.
You're saying that, right? Now, listen, this is exactly what I was saying. I was saying to myself, I'm like, yo, for real, one of the things is that in this quote-unquote conscious community, there's too many motherfucking vegetarians and too many motherfucking soft shoe, goddamn penny loafer wearing ass niggas and motherfucking, too many ringayos and all that shit. See, that's the problem, is that they don't got no street military dudes dealing inside that type of community. Because if they did, they wouldn't try no shit like this. But when you're dealing with people who are more inclined to scholastic approach, where everybody trying to think their way out of it, nobody want to physically get up out of this shit. Everybody trying to find the esoteric or the metaphysical, some type of way up out of it. And with that type of approach, it's easy for those who've been into some type of criminal activity, some type of street type of activity, to be able to look at those people and prey on them, because you can see the weakness in them. You can see it, and that's what I'm seeing, and I'm not liking it at all. I'm not going to never like it. And as I was speaking to my brother, I told him, look, when I catch up with cats, because I'm close enough, I'm gonna see you in person and question you about it. Because I'm not with no shit like this at all. Never going to be about anything like this, because I came into, quote unquote, dealing with this community on the strength of black unity and making something better for ourselves with like-minded people. And I see that they're pulling us together in order for them. It's white supremacy. This Negro shenanigans. This new Negro shenanigans.
Let me just throw something out there. Real quick.
Uh-huh.
When you look at the rules of RBG inside the Code of Conduct, there is a rule that says no exploitation. Do not exploit your people. You live in the hood. They live in the hood, and chances are they don't have anything more than you do. We have enough community leeches and pork chop preachers robbing the people. So that right there lets you know that there's already been a foundation of rules set down for this shit not to even be established. So now you're in violation because you done broke the code. So now action needs to be taken place. Otherwise, they're not going to understand. Hard ahead, make a soft ass.
Correct. You're totally correct. I'd like to welcome the other brothers on the line. We got our brother James. On the line. I'd like to welcome Brother Menkarab. I'd like to welcome our New York callers and Connecticut callers, the guests in the chat room. We were just chopping it up. I know y'all heard. We were just chopping it up a little bit. We was going through a couple of different things, but that topic keep coming up. So we was talking about that debate and just not even the debate itself, but just how we're going to start to lay down a set of rules, and how to enforce the rules that are already set. So, but at this time, we like to open it up for our brother James, and let him go ahead and spark the minds of the people, if the people could allow brother James, though, during this time, then, just go ahead and lay out his premise, and then we can go from there. All right.
Peace. I apologize for my tardiness. You know what I'm saying?
We hold it down, family. Don't even worry. We hold it down.
Yeah. Well, today we're going to be talking about, the Bush connection to Nazi Germany And you know, I feel as though it's an important topic because when you look at Nazi Germany and World War II in general, a lot of things came out as a result of that event in American history. You know what I'm saying? The United Nations, the International Monetary Fund, the Truman Doctrine, the Marshall Plan. So this is kind of like the center of what we view today, and even this plan of a globalization, or what I label globalization white supremacy, is a result, or is kind of like the rubric of World War II. You know what I'm saying? You had the different philosophies of fascism, communism, etc., and eugenics. Because we know that after the fall of Nazi Germany, the Nazi soldiers began to be funneled through different areas of America, one through rat lines that was, being conducted by the Catholic Church, and also through Operation Paperclip, where they took all the scientists and brought them over to America. So it's very important that we kind of know, the root of Nazi Germany, who funded Nazi Germany, and for what purpose. With that being said, what I'm saying, in order to really understand, because, a lot of people, refer to or have written books dealing with Nazi Germany and the Bush connection. They try to, and that's the thing about Europeans, what I'm saying, when you read the books or, say the conspiracy theory, they try to really kind of pinpoint things to a specific person or a specific group, a specific person or a specific family. But in all actuality, it was, not really the Nazi-Bush connection. It's really like the American elite funded Nazi Germany. They tried to pinpoint it to just specifically the Bush family. But as you will shortly find is that, the Bush family was funded by an elite, the American elite, which include, among others, the Harrimans, the Rockefellers, the DuPonts, the Morgans, etc. And this elite, for the most part, are connected with the British royalty, or the Saxe-Coburg-Gotha, which is today called the House of Windsor. And Saxe, as we all probably know, is the Saxons, and Gotha is referring to the Goths, and those are the Germanic tribes that began to invade into Europe during the what they refer to as the Germanic invasion. So this is what they are. Even when you look at the British royalty, Queen Elizabeth, they are actually Germans. Many people are unaware of that, or from that German lineage, So
you said it was from. You said the Bushes was from a German, descendant from a German lineage.
Well, yeah. The Bushes are connected with the, what they refer to today as the House of Windsor.
Oh, okay.
And that was actually like the Saxe-Coburg-Gotha. It's kind of like a bloodline that they kind of keep things. Even when you look at, for example, how they was connecting Barack Obama, and when they did kind of like the blood test, and they see that he was connected to he was related to George Bush. He was like a distant cousin of George Bush, and also to British royalty, because they kind of keep things within the bloodline, or within a certain bloodline. they try to keep things, or when they place certain people in power. You know what I'm saying? So, the Bush family is also among those that are connected to that, what they refer to as, the House of Windsor or the Saxe-Coburg-Gotha. You know, you see that these families, the Rockefellers, the Harrimans, and Morgan, played a key role which facilitated the Bush's rise to power, because in actuality, the Bush family supported Nazi Germany. And, it was really like, it begins with E.H. Harriman. And in 1898, with the credit from William Rockefeller, became rich by seizing control over the Union Pacific Railroad. His sons, Avriel and Roland Harriman, would inherit the wealth of the business after his death. Avriel Harriman was the older brother, with the help of George Herbert Walker, which is, we know that that is Bush's father, the first Prescott Bush's father-in-law, Prescott Bush would be the father of George Herbert Walker. With the help of George Herbert Walker, they would hire him as a lawyer, and they would use their father's wealth to create a private bank. They would create a private bank known as the W.A. Harriman and Company, which eventually was named Brown Brothers Harriman. It would be with the money from that bank. They would kind of restart the Hamburg America line. The Hamburg America line was a steam shipping company, and it was a German steam shipping company, and the United States seized control over the ships after World War I. So the United States controlled the ships, and Avriel Harriman, I guess through his connections within the United States government, was able to buy that shipping company. He would then resell the shipping company back to Germany, and the deal that he designed was basically that he will resell it back to Germany as long as he controlled the exports, all the exports coming out of Hamburg, Germany, to the United States. So he kind of, he controlled about 50% of the transactions that was being made from Germany to the United States. So Roland Harriman, which would be the younger brother, he was, obviously he was like the co-owner of Brown Brothers and Harriman Bank, and it would be Roland Harriman that would be friends with Prescott Bush, because they both attended Yale University and both was initiated into the secret society known as Skull and Bones. Prescott Bush was basically an opportunist, meaning that he was kind of looking for his niche, and he would attend Yale University reunion in 1919, where he would find some connections with a man by the name of Wallace Simmons, and Wallace Simmons would give him a job in St. Louis, working on the railroad equipment company. It would be in St. Louis where Prescott Bush would meet Dorothy Walker. Dorothy Walker is Herbert Walker's daughter, and he would eventually, once he married Dorothy Walker, Herbert Walker, which was hired by the Harrimans to be the not only the lawyer that did the initial deals of creating Brown Brothers Harriman Banking Corporation, but also once the banking corporation was established, they hired him as the president of the banking corporation. So at that time, he was president of the banking corporation, and once Prescott Bush married Dorothy Walker, due to his profession, it was kind of like, the father, seeing that his daughter married, somebody, and that wasn't really, had a worthy profession, I guess, in his eyes. They decided to hire him and as vice president of Brown Brothers Harriman. And by this time, they are doing deals with Nazi Germany. Averell Harriman, he's already established that shipping company, and one of their major investors was a man by the name of Fritz Thyssen. Fritz Thyssen was probably one of the richest men in Germany at the time, and he was also a supporter of Adolf Hitler. In fact, during the Nuremberg trials, he gave a detailed expose of how he financed Hitler and the Nazi war machine. In fact, he also wrote a book too called I Paid Hitler, where he goes into more detail about explaining the finances that he provided Hitler with.
Hold on, you said I paid. Hold on, what was the name of the book again? I Paid Hitler?
Yeah, I Paid Hitler. That was written by Fritz Thyssen. Okay. Yeah, he wrote a book called I Paid Hitler, where he, gives detailed accounts of how he financed Hitler and the Nazi war machine. So, it would be through the dealing of he would be the number one investor to Brown Brothers Harriman, and also because actually in all actuality, Brown Brothers Harriman was actually a laundering scheme, that was designed to launder money into Nazi Germany, but when you look at the records, they designed, it was really like a private banking company, but in all actuality, it was a way of laundering money into Nazi Germany, because you had a whole group of people in America that supported Nazi Germany, and what I began with, it was like for the most part the American elite, now. They began to use the shipping company to smuggle in Nazi sympathizers, smuggle in Nazi sympathizers, into Nazi Germany coming from America. And also they began to secretly bring in Nazi spies into the United States. And they also, through that banking corporation, they began to fund the Nazi SS, because many people are unaware that the Nazi SS was a private army. That was not the army of the government. That was a private army that was paid for by, i.e., the Fritz Thyssen and his partner. I think his name was Fritz, something Fritz. I forget his name. And along with the Wahlbergs, you had Max Wahlberg and Paul Wahlberg, and the Rockefellers, and also through the Brown Brother Harriman banking corporation. So they funded the rise of the Nazi SS, and once the German government began to see that this army was gaining momentum, they would begin to make plans to try to shut the army down. And the United States, the Morgans, through their connections with the Time magazine, to begin to put out subtle attacks against the German government for trying to shut down the Nazi SS. And then we going into is going into the 1920s. This is not Hitler really didn't really come to power yet. We just see the Nazi war machine kind of gaining momentum. Now, a man by the name of Percy Rockefeller, he was one of the initial investors to Brown Brothers Harriman as well, and he also owned a weapons company called Remington Arms. It was through Remington Arms that they began to smuggle weapons through the Hamburg America line into Nazi Germany. So now you see the weapons being smuggled along with the financing of Hitler and the hiring of the soldiers. So we see all this being financed through the United States, and this American elite. And also through the Hamburger America line, they began to smuggle in eugenicists such as Ernest Rudin. And just to give a little background of the connection with the Harrimans to the eugenics, we know that Francis Galton is the one that created eugenics. And Francis Galton ideology was a man by the name of Charles Davenport. He would go over to Britain, learn the ideology of Francis Galton and eugenics and bring it back over to America. And he began to teach at Cold Springs Harbor in Upper New York. And it would be Harriman's, Averill Harriman's daughter that attended one of his classes. She would go and tell her mother about the classes that he was holding, and through that connection, E.H. Harriman. E.H. Harriman, the father of Averill Harriman, his wife, after he died, his wife would fund Charles Davenport, and he would use the money to create what is known as the Eugenic Record Office. So you see that the wife of E.H. Harriman, I forget her name, the wife of E.H. Harriman, she funded the first Eugenic Record Office, because we know for certain that the ideology of eugenics developed in Britain, but it wasn't really inculcated into or practiced into society until it reached America. And so he created the Eugenic Record Office, and he hired a man by the name of Harry Laughlin. Harry Laughlin played a key role in inculcating eugenic ideology into the United States legislation. And California was one of the main states that was, adopting these eugenic laws. Adolf Hitler would use California as a rubric to begin to inculcate the eugenic laws into his Nazi Germany once he came into power. So you see this connection with Nazi Germany, Eugenic Society, the Harrimans, the Rockefellers began to fund institutes, such as the the Kaiser Wilhelm Institutes of anthropology, and anthropology. They had about 4 or 5 Kaiser Wilhelm Institutes in Germany that was funded by the Rockefellers. So you see that the science in general was eugenic in origin, and that goes back into what we was speaking of a while back about the connection with the Darwin theory of evolution. And the connection that they had with Nazi Germany, because they began to use anthropology, to try to solidify or justify white supremacy. So you see this connection. You see this connection going back all the way into you see this connection going all the way back into Charles Darwin's theory of evolution, and it would manifest through these different institutes that begin to develop in Germany. Yeah, somebody said something?
Yeah, nah, God, that was me. I was taking my phone on and off. Go ahead. Phone stuff.
Yeah, Fritz Tyson's his co-partner was a man by the name of Frederick Flick, and I think they donated about 250 to 300,000 gold marks to create the Nazi SS black shirts and the Nazi SA storm troops, or what they refer to as the brown shirts. So we see, this eugenic connection. The Rockefellers supported, because we have to understand after World War I, Nazi Germany, they was in debt. From the Treaty of Versailles, they was in debt to, French, to the French after losing that war. And you had
actually, brother, they was in debt to the Rothschilds.
You say what?
Actually, they was in debt to the Rothschilds because when you look at the Treaty of Versailles, they had their meeting at the Rothschilds' palace.
Right. Well, we know that, everything is controlled by the banks, and Rothschilds control the banks. But, when you look at, the Treaty of Versailles, they kind of owe money to, because they're not going to say the Rothschilds. They're going to say, because they want people to believe that these people were actually fighting, wars against, countries was actually fighting each other. So, according to, the documented history, it says that they owed the French money. So, yeah, but I agree with that. You know what I'm saying? Because we know that we know that after World War I that you still had Afro-French troops, I think from Senegal and different areas of, North Africa that was colonized by the French. You had a whole section of Germany that was occupied by these German Afro troops, I guess you could say, and they began to mate with the German women, and the Germans began to refer to them as the Rhineland Bastards. The Rhineland Bastards. And this is so even before you had this animosity towards the Jews, they first began to sterilize those Afro-German those Afro-Germans that came as a result of them losing the First World War, because they had a whole section of Germany, and they began to bastardize, I guess, the German blood. Obviously, you see that Adolf Hitler's ideology was for the purification of the Aryan race. So this bastardization, of the Rhineland Bastards, we got to understand that, at this point in time, the Jews who were mostly in the profession of, doctors, you had a significant amount of, and when we talking about the European Jews, they were in a position of doctors and what have you will. And they didn't have no problem with sterilizing those Afro-German troops. They didn't have no problem with that, you know what I'm saying, because this is really before the attack really was focused in on the Jews. So the sterilization laws that was being implemented in California at the time was used in Germany to sterilize those Afro Afro-Germans in Nazi Germany. So, you see that eugenics, population control, the funding of the Nazi war machine goes back to the Rockefellers, which really goes back to the Rothschilds, because at the end of the day, the Rothschilds kind of really funded, all these, this American oligarchy, you know what I'm saying? But speaking in America in general, is the Rockefellers, the Harrimans, the Wahlbergs, you know what I'm saying, etc. And in fact, there was a plot by J.P. Morgan, Prescott Bush, and the J.P. Morgan, Prescott Bush, and the DuPont family to overthrow the United States government and assassinate FDR. They hired a man by the name of General Smedley D. Butler. They was going to provide him with 500,000 soldiers to overthrow the United States government and impose martial law and attempt to set up a fascist dictatorship in the United States. And the plan backfired because the general that they hired eventually blew the whistle on the whole operation. So, you clearly see that George Bush, before he's an American, he was a Nazi. You know what I'm saying? He was a Nazi. He supported Nazis, the Nazi cause, Nazi ideology. You got to remember that he was a member of Skull and Bones, and Skull and Bones is a American branch of the Thule Society. And the Thule Society was kind of like a religious, political organization designed in Germany, and they help facilitate and fund Adolf Hitler and the Nazi war machine. And you can see by the insignia, which would be the skull and crossbones, and when you look at the hats of the Nazi generals, you would see that insignia of the skull and crossbones on their hats. You know what I'm saying? So they were fascists. You know what I'm saying? They supported fascism. And this whole thing was connected, connected to secret societies, because, many people are unaware that Nazi Germany was not just a political movement, but it was also a religious movement. It was a religious movement. They went with the teachings of Madame Blavatsky, and what she believed in a theory that she referred to as the root races, and that the white race, there were 7 root races going back to ancient times, and that they were on the 5th root race, and she said that through miscegenation. She believed that through miscegenation that these root races was the cause of these root races falling. And she believed that the 5th root race was the white race, and that through miscegenation, the miscegenation created the different races of people that currently live today. So in order for them to become God men again, that they will have to, keep their blood pure. She had an impact on a man by the name of Gildo List. Gildo List was, combined, the ideology of occultism with her theosophy. And his protege was a man by the name of George Lieberfeld. And he was like he began as a monk, and he would kind of inculcate the theology of list with his own spin to it. He was trying to say that, he got a revelation at the visiting a tomb of a Knight Templar, and he would kind of begin to make claims of a blind-haired, blue-eyed superior race. And he would create an organization called Ordo Novi Templi. You know what I'm saying? And he believed that the Holy Grail was symbolic to the pure-blooded Aryan race. This man would have an impact on the ideology of Adolf Hitler. In fact, it was believed that Adolf Hitler paid him a visit, and he gives an account of having this conversation with Adolf Hitler. That coupled with American philosophers such as Lothrop Stoddard, who wrote the book The Rising Tide of Color and World White Supremacy, and Carl Pearson, and a whole litany of other people.
You said Stoddard?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So these different people, had an impact on the mindset of Adolf Hitler, going to Nazi Germany. So it's clear that you see that there is a connection with the American elite and Nazi Germany, and the Bush family was all in the mix of that because we know that Prescott Bush, he was doing most of the dealing between Fritz Dyson. He was running the day-to-day operations with the Hamburg American German line, and they began to establish the banks within a series of banks within Germany, and also Fritz Dyson, he had money invested in over a dozen banks in America as well.
You said a dozen banks? All right. Now, Stoddard, I'm pulling them up. I was, not to cut in, but I thought that was the same dude. When you said his name, I thought that was the same dude who started the Stoddard manufacturing company, or like the clothes, like I swear. But,
he did what?
You remember the Stoddard, like the clothes, like Stoddard?
Oh no, it's Stoddard. Stoddard. Stoddard.
It's a German dude who started that, the clothing company too.
Oh, the Stoddard. Are you talking about like the jacket?
Yeah. I'm gonna pull the information. Go ahead. Find yourself now.
Yeah, but this is Stoddard. It's Stoddard. Stoddard.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for making clarifying that for me. You know what I'm saying? For the callers on the line, we're gonna let y'all get in and ask a couple questions and add your information in. We let Brother James go ahead and rock on those. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I would just conclude by after the fall of Nazi Germany, just kind of making this connection relevant to today. After the fall of Nazi Germany, there was an attack, obviously, on the Eugenics Society because of their, ideology and how Hitler used that ideology to, as a, and it became law in Nazi Germany. So there was an attack on the philosophy of eugenics, and also with the study of genetics. And, the new founding thing, they began to more side with, the Mendelian form of thinking. And there would be a man by the new name of Eugene Fisher, who was president of the Eugenics Society at the time. He began to try to find ways of keeping the eugenics alive, and he knew that he had to change the name of eugenics,
You know what I'm saying? So he begins to, come up with different ideas, and one of the ideas was that he began to replace the eugenic terminology with more genetic terminology. And obviously, that ideology, was successful, and it wasn't until, I think they began to call it genetic counseling, because it was more so for, you had different aspects of eugenics, for those who are unaware, you had positive eugenics and negative eugenics. Positive eugenics will be like the inbreeding of the pure race, according to how they see things, and which would breed a better race of people. You know what I'm saying? That kind of proved to be unsuccessful because you had a lot of inbreeding going on and a lot of genetic defects what happened as a result of that. So they kind of began to side more so with negative eugenics. Negative eugenics would be the prevention of the lower races from breeding, and their numbers growing rapidly. So they replaced negative eugenics with what they call genetic counseling. Genetic counseling would, I guess it was an attempt to try to convince soon-to-be mothers or people of the quote-unquote lower stock, to try to convince them not to have children, and that didn't really take root until a woman by the name of Margaret Sanger, she began to come into the foray, and what she did was she made it into a women's rights issue of controlling the births, as far as with the negative eugenic philosophy. Now, men such as Davenport in the beginning did not, really take her seriously because of the feminist, her feminist way of going about doing things, and they wasn't really feeling that, and it wasn't until the eugenics society began to kind of, in a way, collapse that she really began to become relevant. You know what I mean? And Eugene Fisher, with his kind of mindset of trying to adjust, to the new, to this new form of eugenics, seeing that she became a valuable tool, because although he began to change the ideology, people of the different ethnicities, still did not trust, going to the doctors because of the history that they, obviously, especially in America, that they were not really trustworthy, and that for the most part they were doing experimentations and what have you will on these people. So once Margaret Sanger, she came in and she began to make this into a women's rights issue, and she would start the Birth Control League, which eventually became Planned Parenthood. And she was first arrested for trying to start a birth control clinic without, the proper legislation, because at the time it was illegal in the United States. And she went to court eventually, and she was able to legalize the use of contraceptives, and that gave rise to the birth control pill and the IUDs, and men like Eugene Fisher. Once again, you see the names of Rockefeller, and ironically, the Dooley's brothers. I think it was John Foster Dooley. They would create the Population Council, and they would begin to use those birth control contraceptives that was, first inculcated into America, i.e., Margaret Sanger, and they would make it into, begin to distribute this into third world nations, begin to test it in third world nations, and, based off the results, they would then inculcate it into American minority communities. So, obviously this whole thing with Nazi Germany has a direct impact on what we see today, and the birth control, and also direct, with abortion, because that is another form of negative eugenics.
Definitely. That's where I'm looking at it too. I'm like thinking about all of what they were doing there, and a lot of the experimentation I was throwing in the chat room. A lot of the different things that came up out of the World War II, World War I and II situation, which was a lot of the drugs and a lot of the drugs that they use on people now. That's where you get a lot of the PCP from the the meth and all those different type of things. What else were they were using? What the hell? The well, that was using mescaline and all those different type of experimentations that they were doing with the people, trying to find better drugs in order to kill people, and also to create different types of people, like in order to strengthen their own physical beings. So when you say that about Margaret Sanger, that also was one of those things that came up out of it, was the abortion thing, was the genetic control. They start to really understand genetic modification through the experimentation that they were doing in Germany, and by bringing over those scientists, that just helped blossom it, where they had two playgrounds, which was not only America, but they also were dealing with South Africa also. So, I just wanted to put that part in there. Anybody who want to add on, you can add on. Everybody's line open. Matter of fact, Brother Coors. Good. Brother Coors. Yeah, you wanted to add on something about the right there. You said the early part of the war, right before the war. We was chopping it up.
Yeah, Namibia, the Namibia genocide was occurring before the wars was occurring. Hold on one second. I got the baby. Hold on a minute.
But I think that, like, all the drugs that we getting now, I think that was a lot, like, really something that came off up out of that World War II, the understanding of how you can just chemically induce the people into motherfucking death and into a type of slavery, condemn them into a type of slavery that they can never come up out of, by utilizing the drugs. Because, they had I think that was just like one of the main things that affected the African community here. You know what I mean? They did. Huh?
Yeah, they had. They also in Nazi Germany, they figure out how much. This is where they figure out how much blood do a person has to lose before they pass out, and so they was just basically just doing anything. You know what I'm saying? It was, they basically was just doing anything with the humans just to see. You know what I'm saying? I guess how much the human can take. You know what I'm saying? That's why they had the gas chambers and. You know what I'm saying? So it was like a whole litany of things going on in Nazi Germany, and that's why during Operation Paperclip that they would take those scientists. In fact, there was I guess you could say a laboratory right outside of New York. I forget what it was called. Remus Island, I think it was called. I think they moved the island not too long ago. But it was one part of the island was like a prison, was like a prison, and then the other island was like for animal, animal experimentations for the different diseases that animals have, and what have you will. So it was rumored that they was experimenting on the prisoners, by using, the different diseases that they would develop from the animals and injecting the prisoners to see the reaction, and also taking the DNA of the prisoners and inculcating into the animals, trying to create a different species. There's a lot of rumors, but we know for certain that facility was developed by one of the scientists that was brought over here during Operation Paperclip.
Very true, very true. In fact, if we could rewind for a minute, Brother Solomon, and examine Charles Darwin's book written in 1859, The Origin of Species, or The Preservation of Certain Races in the Struggle for Life. What you see in Germany, post-Germany World War II, is basically, to give you a historical context, the book was written in 1859. Later, his cousin came, right? All this is feeding on to the 1885, which was the Conference of Berlin, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you look at 1865 in America, that's when slaves were free.
Right.
When you look at the Civil War, the biology, the science, the medical care, if you got shot in your toe back then, they were cutting your whole leg off, right?
Right.
Within a period of under 20 years, now they have a curriculum on how to assess injuries, sanitize disease, and so forth. Where were they getting that information from? Slavery. They were experimenting on slaves. When slavery ended, they needed another stomping ground to continue their studies. Germany. What the brother Solomon said about Operation Paperclip was very true. If you even go back to when Hitler was alive, it was Hitler who had the balls to pull off their ideology and make it mechanic, make it practical. Hitler was the first one who opened up a sperm bank for Europeans.
Right. Yeah. So the sperm bank, the human and virtual fertilization. You know what I'm saying? When you look at the Nazi connection to all that, is you know what I'm saying. A lot of people, that don't do the research, would not believe, how a lot of things that we inculcate now to our society is connected to what happened in Nazi Germany.
Even the Tuskegee syphilis experiment, you had the airmen fighting in World War II, but simultaneously they also were being given the syphilis and not being treated.
Right. It was in World War II as well when Europeans discovered what sickle cell anemia was, because some of the troops in World War II, my grandfather was in World War II, he didn't get to Normandy and all that, in the deep cold, and the brothers were catching frostbite faster than Europeans were. Now, on one hand, you can say, probably it was due to them getting inadequate equipment, but that's when they started seeing that we do have physiological changes when we go into a colder environment. To throw something out there as well, so-called these people who are trying to perfect genetics. Charles Darwin, if I'm not mistaken, married his own cousin, first cousin of him.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
And he had a bunch of retarded kids trying to prove his point.
Exactly.
I wanted to put this in that also, we can't leave out Leopold, who was down there in the Congo, because a lot of what they were learning and starting to utilize, also had a founding down in how they was colonizing Africa, just having a free reign where they could go somewhere and just do a lot of destruction to people and see exactly what was what. That's when they were down there, they in a wholesale slaughtering us, but also during that time they were learning our ways and actions. You know what I mean? So, we can't never leave out, old Leopold and how America, that was all one little cobbled together.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point you made, because what the brother said earlier, South Africa, with the Calvinists, these wood shoe wearing people. The Leopold was Belgium, right?
Right.
All of these people speak a dialect of some root of German. So that's the context right there. So you're right, brother.
Yeah, and they were, they was caught, injecting the people of that region with the AIDS virus. For some reason, they feel as though that they could experiment, in that region.
Because, I just wanted to put the date that Leopold was out there. That was like 1885 to early 1900s, probably like 1908, 1909. He was in there. I think 1908 was when they got him out of there. But
immediately after the Council of Berlin, he was there.
Yeah, right after. That's why I wanted to put that in there, because it was in context to what you said. When you said that, I was thinking about it because I got the book by Mark Twain, King Leopold's Soliloquy, where he make account of a lot of the things that was going on down there. You got the mic, though. The mic open to the audience. The mic open.
So one thing we should overstand is the ideology of these people. Because first off, there was no Africans invited to the Conference of Berlin, so we really have no firsthand, what the talk was about. We know it involved us, of course, but to the extent of what it, because people have this idea, the idea that we were always enslaved. So like, no, they went back into Africa and enslaved it to finance the Industrial Revolution. When we became free, one thing the Europeans in America learned was that we took half of the economy with us. The more skilled black workers, there were white workers. You see them, basically unifying to make sure that we don't become the sole heir or sole, how can I put it? Make sure that we don't become the only way that they generate finances, and to make sure that they don't have to rely on us solely for that finance. Because all they're doing is rehashing the ideas. Like when you look at Francis Goulding, Charles Darwin, somebody named somebody else out there, man. Herbert Smith. All these people were born in the same time period, roughly around the same period.
And
they're supporting one another.
Right. And it was operation, first, as you can see, like, the ideology first developed, I guess, with men like Robert Malthus, and he came up with the idea of the Malthusian catastrophe, meaning that it was the population, if not checked, will become, overpopulated and, over the food supply, so he referred to that. He referred to that as a Malthusian catastrophe. Ironically, when they began to, take his philosophy seriously, they began to, apply that to the same regions that they were colonized. They applied that, to suggest that, we have to check the population. It sounds like, they created the justification because, Charles Darwin would say that, he came up with the title of his book, Origins of Species, his subtitle, from reading the works of Robert Malthus. So you see the direct connection of, first the philosophy and then, them trying to prove it scientifically, and then them through the cousin of Charles Darwin begin to try to, inculcate it into, into society.
Right, and this is what foiled the great Marcus Garvey's legacy in terms of going back to Africa, which a lot of our people did, but it was foiled or uprooted once the automobile became, the marketplace. And what do you need to run automobiles? rubber. I think the European foreign powers is basically like, if you don't give us all the rights to all the rubber fields in Liberia, we're going to systematically disrupt your whole country. So that's what foiled. For everything, it's funny we bring this up because everything, you can see everything is connected. Being that we finna reach that 100-year mark for the Marcus Garvey movement, it's important that, especially us, all the peers on the phone, that we go back and, we rehash and we reassess what was really going on to, see how it affected our grandfathers, our great-grandmothers, mothers, and then, being passed down to us, because it's still going on right now as we speak.
Yeah. Definitely a connection, even when you look at what's going on globally with the Population Council and how they begin to kind of, what was it, the NSSM, National Security Studies Memorandum, with Henry Kissinger. All that is is connected with this whole ideology of depopulating the indigenous nations, and also taking the minerals and the resources of these indigenous nations while at the same time depopulating those same nations. And what they do is they control, they created legislation to provide these nations that they have colonized and exploited for their mineral resources, that they will provide them with food. And once they provide them with food, they will have to follow, these laws that are, biased towards, this eugenic ideology that developed in the, I think you said Malthus go back to the 1700s, right? It was the 1790s. Malthus came up with that, his essays on the principles of population. So, all this is connected, all this is, European philosophy, European thought, in an effort to depopulate the indigenous nations. And you can see that on the Guidestones in Georgia. They want to depopulate the earth, by almost it's 80-something%. So, if that's the goal, it's very telling to see that, today we live in America where, 50% of the abortion cases are, African American women. How they made abortion, pretty a lucrative business in a way, And they have conditioned our women's minds into accepting the slaughter of our babies.
Yeah, I want we're talking about Germany, and we're talking about population control and all of that. Another place that you see, where a certain type of genocide going on like that is in the Arab countries. And I got in my hand a book, and on page 93 of this book, 63 documents the government doesn't want you to read. It's the last will and testament of Hitler. And so in here is his, this is his secretary taking his last will and testament, but in here they divulging, certain information. And so one of the things that they divulge in the information is that in 1945 that they had been paying the Arabs for 4 years already. They had started in 1941. They had a foreign office. Both Arab leaders enjoyed equal standing and were treated as potentates. Since all their expenses were paid by Germany, they used the monthly cash payments, certainly large parts and possibly all of them, to support their Arab followers. El-Gilani maintained an office solely for the purpose of paying his followers and thereby prevented his men from going directly to the foreign office. The following Arabs in Germany were supported by El-Gilani: Kamel El-Gilani, Dassault Sulawes, it's hard to read some of it because it's an old document and it's an exact copy from it. So some of it a little smudge. But, they got different leaders of the Iraqi army, widows and children of executed former Air Minister of Iraq, Mahmoud Suleiman, the Grand Mufti, Aman el-Hassani, supported his staff consisting of two other Hassanis, Dr. Jandila, Dr. Wakil, and Dr. Allmates, as well as the Islamic Institute in Berlin and a number of other Arabs unknown to Rakowski. The foreign exchange funds received by both leaders were used to support approximately 150 students in Paris and some Arabs living outside of Germany, and to finance trips abroad to purchase articles not easily obtained in Germany. And then they give another list of different people who got money. The Minister of War of Iraq, who was living in Vienna, was the last name. There have been Ibrahim Pasdia, Sahib Qasir also received a monthly sum from Runfik. But at the end of it, they say, what did the German intentions towards the Arab countries? Through casual conversations with Dr. Grober, Rakowski learned that the German plan was to charge the Mufti and El-Galani with the establishment of pro-German governments in their respective countries and to exploit these countries in due time. The currency to be used under the new regime in Iraq was printed in Germany as early as 1942, and a set of new uniforms was ready for Restel Ali El-Galani. The German financial support of Arab leaders during the entire war was astonishing. The Grand Mufti Ahmad el-Hassani and Rashid Ali El-Galani financed their operations with funding from the German Foreign Ministry from 1941 to 1945. German intentions in the Arab countries were based on an expectation of establishing pro-German governments in the Middle East. That's from, and that's the document RG-319, Records of the Army Staff.
Now, you know what's the connection right there?
Go ahead, Lord.
If you notice, I don't know who was the head debate or something, and they were citing a German scholar. Am I correct? Have you heard that before?
We were citing a German scholar?
Right. He was pulling up a reference from a German scholar, whatever. Right? This is the context, right? The Austrian, Hungarian, Serbian Ottoman Empire, World War I, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is why I side with Walter Williams when he said Islam was just created under that context and that terminology, because Germans know a lot about Islamic literature. And you can pull it up right now. Go on the internet. I'll put it in the chat room. While Germans is joining the issue in Syria, right? It's a priority. I'm talking about a government priority for their people. For the Germany is in a state of crisis right now in terms of radical German Muslims going and fight in Syria. They have that Ottoman, that Turkish context, right? Now, if I'm not mistaken, even though Belgium, we talk about Belgium getting a piece of Africa, I don't know what piece Germany got. I know they had some kind of influence, but Germany, then and now, is still fucking the game up with the gear technology. You know what I'm talking about?
You said with what technology?
Gear technology. German engineering is off the chain.
Right.
Bentley owns Volkswagen. Volkswagen owns Bentley. All the way down to engines, mechanics, to guns, Glocks. If you look at the gun manufacturer Taurus in Brazil, there's no difference between the Taurus and the Austrian Glock because it's the same, basically the same ideologies, the same German influence there. So you see that connection right there. The Germans with the Ottoman Empire. Then you see two nations rise, right? The Ottoman Empire had all of Zanzibar, right? Now I got a context. That's what they had. They had Zanzibar, East Africa. How was it that in World War I, England was losing, right? Germany had them surrounded by submarine U-boats. They couldn't even get food in and out, right? all of a sudden won the war, got a big piece of something from the Treaty of Versailles, like we were talking about earlier, but also went on to claim a lot of the Palestine. Who in Palestine right now? And then all of the East Africa, all of Zanzibar was broken up to what now you have Uganda and Kenya, right? With the French, I mean not the French, but the English, because my professor, all the areas of Africa he went to was English colonies when he was doing the archaeology, and I just noticed that when you know what I'm saying, you put that context there. That's the context, brother. That's you know what I mean?
You know what? That was, and when you said that about Palestine with them Jews being over there right now.
Right.
Yeah, that's another.
Old white man. I heard this from an old white man. English are master linguists.
Yeah, that's another direct result of Nazi Germany. The Jews being in that particular region.
Right. Now I watched the History Channel, and it was showing that Hitler, Jews that was running like Albert Einstein, right, getting sent back. Professor Mackey was talking about this, right? One Jew, they were talking about, one Jew is too many, right? They was getting sent back. So Hitler was sending money to what was back then Palestine, which was, he was a black, he wore a black kufi, you know what I'm saying? He was the leader of Palestine at that time, right? After Hitler fell, he skated out. He went from Palestine right to Iraq. And when he got to Iraq, peep this out, his nephew was just entering as a private in the Iraqi army, and his name was Saddam Hussein. See, what you see America cleaning up now is old empire still loyal to the Turkish Hungarian Ottoman Empire. You see what I'm saying? Why do Wahhabi Muslims have a problem with Shiite Muslims, mainly in Iraq? When Baghdad was the center of what a sultan was, right? They got a longer history of Islamic imperialism there than anywhere. But why did you see they because they just got their power, and the people who know that they just got their power are the Shiites. Or the Shia, all those nations who were practicing Mohammedanism before Wahhabi Islam. You see what I'm saying?
Right. Wahhabism kind of, coincided with the rise of the House of Saud because, like you said, that the before they really took root, they really had to first push out the Ottoman Turks out of the what they refer to as the holy.
Good movie watch. What's that movie sold about Jamie Foxx when he was over there in Saudi Arabia, the Kingdom?
Yeah. Oh, you talking about Florence of Arabia?
Yeah, remember when Jamie Foxx was he started that movie, and the movie was centered in Saudi Arabia. They were trying to catch a terrorist, right? Remember that movie?
I don't remember that movie.
Kingdom. It came out a while back, right? The first 2 minutes of the movie are most interesting because it gives you a timeline. Prior to 1908, wasn't no foreigner, Westerner, stepping foot in Saudi Arabia. Boom. All of a sudden they do. Why? Because they found oil over there, and you see them shaking hands. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, wow. Now you've seen not only the first Westerners coming over, the first Westerners coming over there in terms of making business, in terms of staying, basically, a lasting relationship. And that was the conflict which existed in the present day with Jamie Foxx because you had Saudi Arabia, right? And then the people who worked for the oil company had subdivision communities looking like America with the grass and the lawn and, the houses and so forth, guarded by armed security. And the outside are Arabs and so forth who were seeing these foreigners that were basically attacking them, bombing them, doing random shootings and shit. And that's what's going on right now to this day while Wahhabi catches hell with all this building that they're doing and that, they're building islands and whatnot. You know what I mean? All, not even in terms of their tradition, their culture, and their religion. You know what I mean? And that's why you have a division. When I studied under Islam for 10 years, the brother Heru could tell you, I always wondered why They all speak Arabic. Why they all ain't united? Because they all got a history of relevancy. Some very recent, some old. You see what I'm saying?
Right, yeah. Well, we know for certain that they was, the rise of Wahhabism, coincide with the rise of Saud, and also, them being supported by the British to fight the Ottoman Turks. And like you said, once they found that it was oil in that region, deals was being made between them and the United States. This going back almost 100 years. Where they provide the United States with oil, and the United States provides them with weapons and military protection. Because the House of Saud, there was there was a tribal warfare going on in that region, and America promised them protection from those other war factions as long as they got this, oil thing popping off. So, from there, from the House of Saud, obviously, you have Osama bin Laden, which, he was
now,
under
does
the...
anybody know when the Suez Canal was built?
Right. He was under the name of Tim Osman. They used him as a CIA operative to fight off the Russians. He was going into Afghanistan. That would result in the fall of the Soviet Union.
Now you got a context. Right. Now we got a context.
Mm-hmm.
Why did Saddam Hussein hire Americans to defend Saddam Hussein's attack? Think about that. Why did Saddam Hussein smash on what was that? Kershey, something like that. Y'all familiar with the term, with the history?
Oh, the Kurds?
Right. Why did Saddam Hussein make it his business to go smash and get that close to the Wahhabis? And then why the Wahhabis call Western foreigners mercenaries? Desert Shield at first, then it became Desert Storm.
Right. Yeah. Desert Shield with the shield off.
He was rehashing his uncle's legacy.
Right. Yeah, Saddam Hussein was.
The English are clever. The English are clever. You said they came in to aid the people. Then you sold them on attack.
Right.
At the same time, they doing foreign policy rhetoric. Is right here, right around the corner.
Right.
Now they got
Call us, your lines open if y'all want to add on if you want, throw anything into the conversation. You got any questions or feel free to add on.
Well, the backtrack for a minute, you know what I'm saying? We also see, what Harry Laughlin did when he began to integrate, eugenics into legislation. He began to create, a certain criteria, and which eventually led to, regulating, I guess, trying to determine who was the unfit. So they began to give, intelligence tests, and we see that the IQ test is a direct result of eugenics. The IQ test was invented by a Frenchman by the name of Alfred Binet, and it was brought to America. It was brought to America by Louis Terman, and they began to use this, as a rubric to judge who was, fit for sterilization. You know what I'm saying? If you scored below a 70 on the IQ test, you was subject for compulsory sterilization. You know what I'm saying? So, you see that the IQ test, is a direct result of, eugenic legislation. And this, eventually, gave rise to men like William Shockley, who created the, the term dysgenics. And he was he kind of was pushing this whole philosophy of, the low intelligence and how they would kind of fit for sterilization. And it would be Frances Cress Welsing that would debate William Shockley, and what she brought out was that, he subconsciously is focused on race and intelligence because, she, her Frances Cress theory of color confrontation, racism, white supremacy. And she kind of brought that out on the debate. And she's saying that he subconsciously, believes that, he has to do that because he lives in a world of color, and that he is actually doing it for white genetic survival. So that's real key because she actually brought out the real purpose behind Nazi Germany, because that goes back to eugenics and population control. You know what I'm saying? And from population control, it began to get into this negative eugenics because this is all centered around what she really pulled out is white genetic survival. You know what I'm saying? She would basically, destroy Shockley in this debate. And, it wouldn't be until almost 20 years later that they made another attempt to try to write a book, in the mid-'90s to try to solidify the position that blacks are less intelligent than whites. But, now it's suggestive, saying that the blacks are genetically inferior to whites because they score, an average of 15 points below the whites on the SATs. And that book would be called The Bell Curve. Frances Cress Welsing would challenge them to a debate, but they wouldn't show up. You know what I'm saying? So you see that the educational system now, we're going into education now. You know what I'm saying? The educational system, this is all centered around eugenics, population control. You know what I'm saying? So, and even when you get into the educational system and even the degree is German in the origin. You know what I'm saying? The creation of the degree, that was kind of brought over here from Germany. You know what I'm saying? At that time, it probably was, Prussia. They referred to it as then. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, this is this whole thing with the connection with Germany runs real deep.
Okay, so anybody want to add on? Well, I'm not. You know what I'm saying? I'm up here. Just like I said, I'm more into the social science, and what you're hitting on right now is definitely where people have to understand that these are where they're scoping our minds to is to be able to be destroyed, is that the genetic annihilation is a real effect of anything that the Caucasian is thinking of or doing. And his whole premise is that he needs to preserve his life, and the only way that he can preserve his life is to take your life. And that's where I'm at with the whole situation. Brother Cause. Yeah.
Nah, that's true. It's funny you said that because Connecticut just came out with the they're going to be the first state to openly label their genetically modified foods. And so it's gonna be something to see. It's gonna be something to see how many things is labeled in the store. A lot of stuff our people love to eat and consume. But the thing is that they're still selling it. They let you know that there's a lot of hazards depending on what the product is, with the genetically modified organisms in it. But they're still selling it. So letting you know. They're gonna labeling it isn't any type of benefit to you if that ends up being a majority of your food in certain stores. You get what I'm saying? So I think he's real. The cracker's real blatant when it comes to how he's carrying out his genocide nowadays versus how it was before. You look at the sterilizations down from the sisters in North Carolina, I believe it was. or Virginia, and that's new. It just came out as far as them acknowledging it. But they did it years and years ago. Nowadays, I kind of see a trend of it just being blatant. It's like, this is what we're doing, and we're about to make it legal. We're going to get some FDA approval to be able to do this, and what are you going to do about it? Which is, I don't think they were really practicing it the same way before. They kind of had, I'm not going to say they had morals or anything like that, but they had certain standards. There's no boundaries right now with the standards. It's just kind of wide open.
To build on, we talk about what the brother Solomon was talking about with the bell curve theory, right? They're rehashing that again now under different terms. All eugenics, psychiatry, geography, all these work as institutions open for warfare, which are weaponized. See, we think, a lot of people think that these sciences are just wholesome and they serve no function other than their the science it serves. No, all these sciences will be used basically will be used as a rationale to justify domination, like Dr. Amos said. All of it's used.
Hey, peace, bro. I want to tell y'all, brother, something I had occur. My daughter was just born a month ago, right? And so me and my wife were about to exit the hospital and stuff. And so the lady, she asked us about birth control. And she said, well, you can get the shot or you can get the IED. A lot of European women are getting that. And I said to her, I'm glad we ain't Europeans. The thing is, she probably meant to say Africans, though. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
But I told her straight up. I said we don't put robots inside of our bodies, man. You know what I'm saying? Straight up.
If white people are doing it, we all should just follow.
Yeah, we all should just follow. You know what I'm saying? And so when we said we'd rather refrain from having sex than to be putting foreign objects in our bodies to keep from having babies. She said, well, you have to understand, sex is a natural thing. So now she's trying to promote this idea that we wouldn't want you to not have sexual interactions without taking something. Please do make sure you call us afterwards. It's crazy. But, the suggestion that it's best for you to take the poison like it ain't poison. You know what I'm saying? People get rushed to, females I know personally get rushed to the hospital having those types of foreign devices inside their bodies, man. And
they offer you that vitamin K shot, brother?
Not the vitamin K shot, the IED, the little robotic RFID chip. You got to call it the little antenna. And it clings to their cervix, and it blocks the opening for the sperm to go into the fallopian tubes. And all it is is two metal arms, though. So it looks like a Jesus cross. Picture a Jesus cross blocking the openings to the cervix and the fallopian tubes to prevent any sperm from going inside. It looks just like that, but it's a plastic coated thing with a wire and metal inside. That's a robot, man. I don't know what, but that's the most logical thing for them. And a lot of females out here, especially in the black community, that's the only option. They say I'll get the IED put in.
Hey, that's what's wrong with our people, man. Because that don't secrete a hormone, which is testosterone.
Right.
People running around confused about gender because they've been manipulated through hormones.
And then it causes cysts.
Mhm.
Right.
Wow.
And then we're looking at cervical cancer.
Right.
Up.
And then they're gonna validate in this HPV vaccine because to prevent cervical cancer. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot of this stuff going around, and it's funny. We started talking about the wars, but this whole thing is a war, and it's all connected still in the long run.
Most definitely. Let's tie back into the opening comments on polite. How you gonna run on the battlefront trying to sell CDs and lots? The niggas is, you know what I mean? We in a war front on every level. You know what I mean? An economic war, a peace of mind war. You know, just in case you want to walk to the store. You know, even if you forget, he gonna remind you. Woo, woo, woo. He gonna light you up, or you gonna see somebody remind you that they were the boys. You know what I mean? And someone who wants to swindle the community. You know, who wants to practice individual capitalism and call it conscious, being aware of how you're spending. Come on, man. In a war, all your property will be used against you. Most of the people who took up arms have nothing to lose. Only thing that's of matter is land. That line. This is what we hold our mud. You know what I mean? This is where they die. You know what I mean? But if you owning a house, that's what's wrong with everybody right now. They have individual priorities that man, I can't be able to back out to me, man. I got a house mortgage to pay. You know, I got everything else that's going on that's used as a string. You know what I mean? Like a mouse with a peanut on the fishing line walking the elephant. You know what I mean? We gotta lower our standards. You know, all it takes is the culture shift. You know what I mean? Real niggas always set the tone. You know, we ain't into that right now. Y'all still, we shut it down on that. We don't, and it's gonna follow suit. But the problem is, it's multicultural. Everybody wants to, right? Agree. Everybody wants to, let's let them come in. We all cool. I gotta have mixed up friends. Yeah, but when they meet and it's political, they politically with their people. What they do socially and what they do as an individual are two different things from what they do politically. We don't understand that. I'm cool with blacks. I have cool, but he votes white conservative Republican. Basically, he crack a redneck basically. But his individual, it's not gonna hurt him as an individual to talk to niggas, but it's gonna hurt him as an individual to associate with niggas on a political level, and that's when you're gonna see him, side himself from us. You know what I mean? Once we get that, then we can use everything to serve us politically.
Yeah. That's an excellent point. You know what I'm saying?
First,
we think that, you know what I'm saying, we cool. We could bust it up with white folks and be eating lunch with them. That everything is all good. You know what I'm saying? When their political ideology, you know what I'm saying, they separate that from them associating themselves with you on a friendly basis. You know what I'm saying? So there may be some white people who are cool with you, but they still for the maintenance of white supremacy. Make no bones about that. You know what I mean?
My uncle taught me that, man. His neighbors, I don't know one line, I really don't care. His neighbor's Latino, right? He stays in San Antonio, Texas, right? Majority of Latinos on there vote Republican, right? When he was telling me this, the Mexican dude was getting him a Bud Light. They shooting his shit and went use the bathroom, right? He said, nephew. He said, I ain't never stepped foot in that man's house in my life. He's welcome of mine. I have to stand at the front door. You know what I mean? I'm like, wow. He said, now think about how many friends you have that ain't black, and it's the same relationship. And I said, damn near every single person I got a relationship with that's not black. I've never been to their house. I've never been among their people. In fact, I would probably trip out because I would see them shift their whole psychology, their whole orientation when these people come around or when I come around. You know what I mean? So they'll choose to, separate the two. I'll come to your house or I'll come where you're at. No. Let me see, you know what I mean? My mom always told me, a nigga get you high and drunk for they'll feed you. Let me see how you get in, where you lay your head at, who you consider family. Now we have something to identify with other than our habits. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. I think that everybody, when you talk to the average black person, they got this kind of like post-racialized America, in their mindset, and you can see that reflection of that when you look at our community, how we allow different foreigners into the community and profit off of, our wages. You know what I'm saying? They suck the community of the money and the revenue, and it's not circulating within the community. So, you see this, it's been going on for years, you know what I'm saying? You know, Chris Rock did the whole documentary on Good Hair of how, you know, this is helping, you know, the millions of dollars annually that the Koreans are getting from just off the fact that you know, we have a situation where we want to have our hair a certain type of way, and they cornered the market on that. You know what I'm saying? We had absolutely no problem with going into a Korean store, Arab store, what have you will, you know, and this is despite of the fact that when you go to the different Chinatowns that's, you know, located, you know, in various cities across the United States, that you will not see not one black business in that Chinatown. But then they turn around and then you'll have like a Chinese store on just about every corner in the black community. And that Chinese store doesn't provide anything. They don't support the local football team. They don't do anything. You know what I'm saying? But they suck the community dry of its, you know, finance. You know what I mean? You're dealing with a very unconscious people. You know what I'm saying, to say the least. You know what I'm saying?
Brother, it's funny you said that because we actually have a unique position in America because we're actually able to, you know, feel for the first immigrants, the first generation immigrants who come here.
Right.
Regardless, you know, they already have been given a notion or an ideology or a compromise on us. But prior to that, we just, unless they don't, show that up front, we'll just take them for who they are, regardless of their accent and so forth. We can feel for them, and then at the same time, go among us, the lonely, selfish, rich white man who has no family and yearns for one, and his money is his only power of control, his only purpose. And if he loses that, and still sympathize with him, that's what makes it actually dangerous. That's why it's actually a necessity that people know what we're thinking and what we're doing. Think about that, man. The guilty nigga gonna always, you all right? You all right, homie? You straight? I'm good, man. Why? He know he done some wrong to you, and he's waiting for that, that regression to come out, so he check telling on it.
You're saying that, Mikara, you definitely hitting on it because that's what they'll do. They be waiting for that backlash. They always, once you know you did somebody wrong or a person know that they did something to you and they know they always looking for that repercussion for their actions. You know what I'm saying? So utilizing their experimental type of ways, that's how they keep us on these little blocks so they can watch us, so they can see us, see what they're doing, know what they're putting out. That's why I mentioned in the last show about the CDC coming out and just asking questions on what type of sicknesses you have in the neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? Because they need to know what's going on. They want to, and when you near them, they want to make sure you smiling and you happy because they never want to have a thought that you might be aggressive.
Right.
All right. And you got to use some psychology because regardless of if you meet a redneck cracker, right, you can tell how much attention he pays towards us, and I'm using this as an example, like they watch us, you watch your enemy who you've done harm to more than you watch your relatives. Your relatives, for some reason, you love them and so forth, but you already, you have a spirit that they are right. You feel in your spirit they are right. My family's doing it. But your enemy, one who's on your conscience, the person you last did wrong, you're going to check up on them, right?
Right. Keep your enemies closer.
Right. And by doing so, you can tell how much they watch us by what they omit trying to talk about us. Whether it's a new slang word, whether it's a new song, y'all pay attention to us subconsciously without trying, and y'all have to shift your orientation when you come around. That's crazy.
Yeah, you talk about what you was referring to, Brother Mekaran, Brother Born, as the power that lies in the hands of African Americans. We actually are the very foundation of the American dream, for the foreigner. You know what I'm saying? We give them that opportunity to, if he, sets up a business, we give them their play. You know what I'm saying? We unbiased. You know what I'm saying? We go in there and we give them support. You know what I'm saying? And
we support everybody. No, you're right. That's what I was just know I'm saying here. You're definitely right. We support everybody. and anybody with no problem, because that's our way. That's what happened to us inside Africa. We see it. We see it. We accept everybody with open arms. We don't have no problem with people. People got a problem with us.
Yeah,
Dr. Clark said that's the naive, only African fault is his naivete with the guest, you know. But that also shows our humanity.
Yeah, we too humane. We so humane to a fault that we don't even, we're not even thinking of protecting ourselves against a blatant enemy, an open enemy, any open enemy. You know what I'm saying? We just figure that at some point in time, he's gonna feel like I feel. He's gonna
that's definitely incumbent for them to keep the masses, not just African Americans, keep the masses in a state of ignorance. You know what I'm saying? On the non-African Americans in a state of viewing the African American in a certain type of way, despite the fact that you every day engage in these people. You engage these people every day. And they still are being manipulated by the media and, buying into this, this collective effort of vilifying the African-American image. And, you have, various communities. I can only honestly say in Philadelphia, I'm speaking for that, the only community that really engages, you know what I'm saying, well, you could say that with the Latino community somewhat, but, the Cambodian. I see the Cambodian community really integrates themselves with African Americans, you know what I'm saying, from, they live in the area and they're really comfortable with, interacting with African Americans. But, really other than that, as far as with the Chinese and the Koreans, the Indians, the Arab, you know what I'm saying, the Jew, they come in there, they have a store set up and they take, the money, you know what I'm saying, they kind of isolate themselves as far as, besides the business. And, at the end of the day, they're taking that money and putting it into their community. So when you see, for example, why it's a collective effort to keep the African American in a state of ignorance, you gotta understand that if the black man wakes up, that would cause total chaos in the United States of America. If we decided to all of a sudden to say, well, we want to stop giving these businesses any play. We're going to start supporting black businesses. You know what that would do to the dynamics of, the different cultures in America. You know what I'm saying? If they can't go to that store, you know what I'm saying? Because the white man, he doesn't, he doesn't employ the black man, but the other races know that, you know what I'm saying? He don't employ no man. You know what I'm saying? He don't employ the Chinese man. He don't employ, you know what I'm saying, the Arab man. He don't employ no man. You know what I'm saying? He would rather take their women. You know what I'm saying? So the men uses those stores, you know what I'm saying, inside the African American community to gain their wages. You know what I'm saying? So if we was to all of a sudden wake up, you would have like a rise in crime with these different ethnic groups. You know what I'm saying? It would be like really total chaos. You know what I'm saying? And that's the last thing the white power structure would want. You know what I'm saying? Is that to happen, you know what I'm saying? Because it would be kind of like a direct backlash of them allowing these different foreigners into the country in the first place, you know what I'm saying?
Right. See, that's the focus right there, because our condition is due to, let me say this over, the condition we live in right now is the clear result of our betrayal. We've been betrayed by the other ethnic groups who you just named that are successful in America. Why would I say that? Because, like you said, if we were to wake up, that means that whole suburban, docile, underclass, middle class, not white, not black neither. You know what I'm talking about, right? They're in the millions. They're in the millions. We are the glue that keeps them from being at the bottom of the totem pole, right?
Right.
So if we switch our whole orientation up, they lose their whole position, because let's look back at history in America. We was all classified as being colored. Irish,
right.
Colored bathroom. Chinaman, nigga, when you get done building that railroad, you go to the colored bathroom too, right? You got certain ethnic groups. The Chinese fought to be white. They couldn't pass being white in court, but they passed being Caucasian. Beat this out. As the Latinos won. I discussed this in a capstone class I had this quarter, race and racism, right? Sociology class, right? General information, right?
Okay.
One of them 250 student classes, right? And the professor was black. For me, Dr. Michael Walker. You know, he had a craft. You know what I mean? Only professor I know. You know, with the glyphs on his neck. So you know, so he's in the main focal points in the society, right? So when did this shift take place, right? When certain other ethnic groups were Latino in 2010, certain Latino groups are now classified as being white. See what I'm saying? Vote Republican. They become neo, like Dr. Damon said, they become neo-conservative and join the attack on the African community.
Yeah, it benefits them. I think Professor James Smalls, he was talking about how they trying to, I guess, in a way manipulate what exactly is white now, because they even tried to include those, they classify certain Pakistanis as being European. You know what I'm saying? And I found that out when I was up at the mosque with Brother Bashir. He's around a lot of. They was kind of saying in a way like almost bragging, like they classify themselves as we classify them as Asian. He's like, no, we classified in America as European. So Professor James Small said that is an effort due to the low fertility rate of the nations of the European nations, that they're trying to inculcate a little bit more melanin into their genetic pool so they could begin to reproduce themselves.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And it's the same thing with Mexico.
Right.
He was
right.
They Cortez was, if they was too tall, they was too short, he killed them. He basically critiqued that of a Spaniard. Right now, you've seen especially right now, you can even see it on Telemundo. Like damn, you can tell the native Mexican from the Greco.
From the Spaniard. Right. Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you, Brother Mexico.
He's not Spaniard. They're not Spaniard. They're not Spaniard. Mestizo.
Right, yeah, you could tell the difference between, like, what I'm saying, because they all classify them as being Mexican, but you could tell the difference between, like, a Spaniard, a Mexican, and, like, an indigenous, an indigenous Mexican, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I always look at the Mexicans, right, because to me it seems like it's two different types of Mexicans, and it'd be like the essay. And I've never really seen like essays like the ones you see on Colors until I went to Texas. Right. Where I see Mexicans like what I've seen in the fucking movies. Because like in the movies they portray them as the real light Spanish, the like from Spain looking type of people. That's what they look like. So I've never really seen them. The only Mexicans like on the East Coast when you see a Mexican, it's a short, dark skinned, square head joker. No,
that's what I see.
Long features, high cheeks. So thick
brown features look like he looked like a heavyweight, looking like a heavyweight Japanese, like, you know what I'm saying? So this what the Mexican normally look like on the East Coast. So I never really understood the difference until I went to Texas, But the funny thing about the Mexicans is that the ones who look like they more from here, more act like they not from here. But the ones who look like they might really be from Spain, they be the Aztec warrior riding and they Mayan out. They with all the everything that's tribal like in this country. That's the shit that they hold on to. Like that's what they La Raza and all that shit.
Now California is different.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Remember the brother Solomon said earlier, a lot of the eugenics movement, a lot of the crackers, the head elite motherfuckers, what's the God damn it, what is it? The Bulgarian what shit? I can't think of this group. President Nixon was in it, Reagan, and they go to Northern California and they meet on
The Bohemians.
Bohemians, bro, right?
Mm-hmm. You talking about the Bohemians?
Right.
Yeah.
For Western anthropology, the father was Frank Boas, right? They call Frank Boas the father of American anthropology. A lot of his project students is at Cal Berkeley, California. A lot of anthropology books, curriculum get printed off from the University of Berkeley, right? So they experiment, right? They run social. When you hear that word, God damn it, applied science or applied anything, that means it's ongoing. That means experimentation. We're doing some, applied ethnograph work. You know what I mean? It's still ongoing. You know what I mean? They paying grants to see how people spend their money. You let us, live among the people. All this shit is going on. So they run race wars and so forth, right? You see, now y'all ain't from California, but y'all seen American Me and Bloody and Blood Out, right?
Yeah.
You see that both those movies are the same thing. The Latinos got infiltrated by a half-breed who had more white in him, right? Who was causing problems. This will vibrate as truth throughout the whole call because in jail, it's everybody against us in jail. You want to know what was for dinner? Wash the dishes. Jail is the dirty dishes of America. You got the paisas. The paisas are the he got on the rattle skin boots with the Levi's and the thick belt, like $2,500 in his pocket, hopping out that big truck. You know what I'm talking about? He get mad in America and he goes back home and lives it up like most foreigners do, right? The Southsider, La Raza, whatever, you know what I'm saying, they seek more to be Americanized. Oftentimes, they don't even speak Spanish, right? In jail, they extort the natives for fucking with us. I'm talking about on the street level, feel me? On the street level, these niggas, the bald heads, right, they didn't even shave their heads. And I asked one of them, like, you know what I'm saying, locked up, and they left me alone. Nigga, he got tattoos of an Aztec warrior and shit, right? Don't like niggas with a bald head. I said, I thought it was disrespectful to cut an Indian's hair off. Y'all run around cutting your own hair off. That's suicidal. Feel me?
Oh, yeah.
And they identify what they European side, they Spaniard side, to among the Aryan nation. And the Aryan nation say, well, prove it. Go start some shit with those niggas. And you'll hear a random riot. I'm talking about school, high school, you know what I'm saying, from junior high school to high school. And nigga, I'm 31, I'm 32 next year. I remember riots with them. You feel me? How would you like a nigga walk up on you, bald head, he got on Jordans, dressed like, right? They bitches love us, but they like every race do, they hate on their women for fucking with us. So they women smart. They women say, well, since I can't have one, I'll make you one. So they dress they niggas, right? You should wear that, right? So typically the niggas look like a nigga above an Ice Cube or something, Mad Dog and me and us on the phone, while we in the SUV going to go do a lecture or something. You see what I'm saying? Oh, yeah. Dope fiends and car thieves. Yeah. That's all they is. And extortionists. I'm talking about we'll extort them niggas, if they fuck with us. And if they don't pay they, I don't know if they've been locked up, pay your little protection fee or whatever. Crazy. And Mexico is 200 miles south from where I'm at, man. Imagine if we wouldn't have this problem at all if we was 200 miles south of Africa. You see what I'm saying? But a good book to read is Ancient History of Mesoamerica, right? And when you get through like the half of the book, the other half of the book, after the Spaniards left, was dealing with the revolutionary uprisings in Mexico with multi-civil wars with the mestizos and the natives, indignicio. Feel me? Crazy. The Zapata revolution. Any Latino know what Zapata? Zapata was a rider. You know what I'm saying? In terms of indignicio and rights for the people, instead of these Spaniard ass kissers, you know what I mean? And then don't even know we gave Spain a great glory. They betrayed us, brought us over here slaves, and then betrayed y'all in your own land. Mm-hmm. That's why most Spanish-speaking countries are corrupt, because of how they misdealt with Spain. They didn't never have Spain. They stole Spain from 1491.
Yeah, that's very interesting, because that's like that's proof today how when a European comes into the particular area of land, once he colonized that land, he kind of renames himself into what the indigenous people call themselves. You know what I'm saying? He kind of like, kind of become, even with the Native American, a lot of these Europeans, they used to claim, Native American heritage for certain, rights.
They had a thing called the $5 Indian, I think. What you could do, you could pay to be on the Indian roll, and what they would do was give you land and stuff. And so what they would be classifying normal, what they quote unquote call Indians. That was no problem. But white men would go and pay to be classified as them, so then they could get free land. And they knew once they got the land, that white people would come out there and see other white people, and would never, they ain't come to take you and put you on the reservation. You white people. So that was something that was interesting that was going on at that same point, at that point in time back then.
Yeah, that's good, because the Irish became white in 1940.
Everybody begins to catch on to the dynamics of, American culture, and then they fall in line with it. You know what I'm saying? Wasn't the draft riots? Wasn't that was the Irish in New York City? The draft riots, and they began to attack the African American community. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of the Irish are, they into the professions like, the firefighters, the police officers, etc. You know what I'm saying? Those they found their niche in American society, by taking all those professions was highly racist, especially the fire department. Especially I'm just talking specifically on the East Coast. You know what I'm saying? I'm not too sure what exactly goes on. You know what I'm saying, in other areas, but they kind of, yeah. What's up?
The Boston. So when you see the Boston Red Sox versus the Yankees, that's really the Italians versus the Irish, huh?
You say the Boston Red Sox and the who?
The Yankees.
And the Yankees.
Right.
It's the mix versus the Wops, right?
Mm.
Yeah, you saying that is interesting. It's something like that.
Yeah, because the Italians love the Yankees, and the Irish love the Red Sox, right?
Yep. Because Bill Russell, the black dude, played for the Celtics?
Right.
He said he played for he's a Celtic. He was getting booed out. You know what I'm saying? He don't respect the city of Boston at all. You know what I'm saying? Because that Irish race. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how Irishmen can be racist.
He was saying that also that after the game, they would go into the restaurants and he wouldn't get served, and he was like, he began to say, well, y'all don't want me in your restaurant, I'm not playing. You know what I'm saying? He kind of tried to boycott it himself. You know what I'm saying? To the point where, like, they officially began to let him in, you know what I'm saying? Because it's like, he stopped playing, you know what I mean, for the, he got to put himself on strike. You know what I'm saying? I looked at his autobiography on, I think it was ESPN or something like that. He was talking about that happened or whatever. Yeah. So I can't see how the Irish, can be racist. You know what I'm saying, in America. You know what I'm saying. So that's how it's kind of like a mentality that's permanent amongst the people classify themselves as white here in America. You know what I mean?
Hello? Yeah, go ahead, man.
Well, Right.
And it's funny you said that because the Irish witnessed the most oppression coming from fellow whites, the English. You know what I mean?
White.
You know, when the English wanted to make that part, Ireland basically they wanted to make all that grazing land for their cattle. Ain't that a bitch? Bankrupting people, quarantining them in ghettos and shit, and then the majority of the country land is open for the queen's cattle. They'll poaching in the king's forest. That type of shit.
Hello. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you hear me? This is Sister Maya. I call from 909, California. I just want to go back. I just need to go back a couple of. I've been listening for a while. I got to go back just a little bit, but I'll start off with the Irish, since that's where you guys are at right now. In a historic context, the Irish, while becoming allies with the African Americans on the East Coast, basically were allowed to get into such professions as firefighting and policing, as you may like to call it, just for the fact that they were Europeans and they just saw that the Irish were getting too close with the other oppressed, because the Irish come from being oppressed in the in context of being Europeans, and basically those that did not go and migrate to the Midwest, for instance, cities such as Oklahoma and Oklahoma City, I believe Kansas, they're found, things like places like that. That was one of the reasons why they were allowed to get into such professions. Not that they were being deemed any better than any other white at that time. It was just they didn't want them to become allies with the blacks. And then jumping, I'm just gonna go back. When you look at the Latinos today, they're doing the same thing. They're allowing them to jump into professions and everything because the agenda is always to keep blacks, Africans, the minority, the majority minority is how I like to state it. Therefore, everything that's occurring and going on can be tied in together. I'm listening to the topics and how they just roll on that the brothers is talking about right now, because I think you guys were talking about women's fertility and eugenics and things of that nature. And being a woman myself, I wholeheartedly agree on some of the things you guys said, but it is running much deeper than that, to the point where in these communities, black women are being set up to only be able to afford such places like Planned Parenthood or anything like that in the way of women's health. Therefore, when you're going into these facilities, they are, from what I understand, being given these vaccinations and things like that, because that's the only way that they can stop the fertility growth that we have. We're dominant, so therefore our fertility is a little bit, is way stronger. I should say a little bit is way stronger than that of European women and anyone else. So looking into that just a little bit, you got to realize that the uneducated black woman that don't have elderly women, such as the Queen of Fools and things like that, and in their reach, they don't understand what's going on as far as that. And if they were in monogamous relationships, it would help. It's just a lot of things that roll over effect. But if anybody needs to jump in right now, you go ahead and jump in, and then I'll speak on the genetically modified foods that they putting in our communities. Just going way back, you guys talking about the genetically modified foods, and me and the sister was just talking about the fact that I go outside of my own neighborhood to shop. I refuse to eat what's in the store that's just walking distance from me, because you got to pay attention to what's being sold in the neighborhood as opposed to what's being sold in the white neighborhood. We got on the topic of tilapia, how all the black community is on this tilapia kick, and tilapia has a high mercury level as well as a high fat. It's high in fat, causes high cholesterol, things of that nature. But it's being raised in abundance, and it's only you won't find this tilapia everywhere. You won't find it in the white community.
You know, you're saying that about tilapia. There's definitely one of they say tilapia. Eating tilapia is like it's worse than eating bacon. And from what I was seeing, it's supposed to be like some type of genetic modification between like a catfish and a whiting.
Yeah,
right. That's proper. But go ahead, add on, Queen.
So therefore, you know, it's important to you know reach out to the community, you know, by foot, and just let them know these kind of things, and start community programs and such, like community gardens and things like that, because it's terrifying that, you know, what we're starting to eat is this is the way that they're going get us in the population control, because African Americans have some of the worst diets that I've ever seen in my life. You know, we still eat the catfish, the shrimp, the you name it, the corn, you know, the pig. They eating it, you know, and they trying to figure out ways to knock us out, and it's going down. You know, my father died of an aneurysm out of nowhere, probably, I want to say 24 hours after he had some pork ribs, you know what I'm saying, for the first time after a couple of months. You know, he was trying to knock the pork, you know, so we really need to get out there by foot, or start programs, or get on the sisters, or, you know, each one teach one type of situation, because it's really out of control, it's really out of hand. And you know, that's all I have to say for the moment. I'm prone to listening and then jumping in if I hear something. And, oh, by the way, what you guys are speaking of in California with the white elitists, that's called the Bohemian Grove, in which white elitists get together. I think it's mid-July. They sit down, they talk about all the little agendas they have, and population control, whatnot. Obama's involved, you name it. Everybody's involved, and they're coming up with ways to basically control the population, not only in the U.S., but this goes on outside the U.S. too. So, you know, everybody should be mindful of that. And once again, you can look it up on YouTube, Bohemian Grove, as well as, you know, catch a couple of the Monsanto videos on YouTube that'll let you know about the GMOs also. So, you know, it's real good listening to the brothers talk. Had to jump in sometime. If you have any questions, just shoot them at me. I'll try my best to answer it.
Yes, what's up? That's what's up. Yeah. You know, they, I think Gunnar Murdoch was the author of the book, The Negro Problem in Modern Day Democracy. And what he wrote was, he just gave a synopsis of, you know, the white majority, and, you know, from, you know, spanning from different classes from poor to rich. And he asked him a series of questions, you know, pertaining to the presence of African Americans in the society. And what his conclusion came up to was that most white people would like it better if there were less Negroes in America. And he said, but the problem was that they wouldn't know where the labor was going to come from. Like, they would have to create another labor class. So they most postulated that, you know, well, maybe if we could slowly decline the population, of African Americans, that would be the best way of going about it. And this book was written in 1946. And as you can see, during, a lot happened from 1946, with the civil rights movement and eventually the Black Power movement, which kind of really changed the dynamic of the culture. But I think that mentality still existed within a European, and they knew that they had to bring in foreigners, you know what I'm saying, of, the different ethnicities of the immigrants coming from Asia, Africa, you know what I'm saying, and even Eastern Europe, you know what I'm saying, into the United States, to create a new labor class, you know what I'm saying. And once they created this new class of people, that they really went full throttle with the, extermination process, you know what I mean. So, like what the sister said, from the food that we eat, because even Coach Powell, what he was doing with the how he was breaking down the symbolism within the different malt liquors that was being distributed only in the black community. You know what I'm saying? Like Slitch Malt Liquor Bull and the different the different alcohol beverages that was being advertised as black drinks, like St. Nas and how the chemicals in there prevented fertility. You know what I'm saying? And then you can only imagine, like what sister said. You couple that with, okay, you're drinking the beer, you're eating the food. You know what I'm saying? Your shorty is she's taking the contraceptives, and you know what I'm saying. So all this is going to have an impact on the
on the body. Yeah. Now you're saying that, right? I'm thinking about I go inside the store, right? And I remember when cigars used to be different brands. It was just different brands, You see some Philly, you see some White Owls, you see some Dutch Masters, you might see some Grenadiers or whatever, but it was different brands. Now you go in, not only is it different brands, but now they got flavor sections.
Right.
They got the grape. They got Hennessy. You got this motherfucking cognac flavor, butter, banana,
right.
Whatever anything you could think of, basically. Mango, yeah, anything you could think of, basically, they flavored paper and giving it to us. So I'm like, and when they do that, you know how they tell you, it's like this goes in every state. But every state doesn't have a law that says marijuana is legal for you to utilize. So why would you sell motherfucking wraps with you're not selling no cigar inside the store. You're not selling loose tobacco. You don't got no loose.
Right. That's a good point. Yeah.
It's something in those wraps.
It's kind of slowing them in there.
Yeah, I tell people all the time, if you smoke and you use a cigar, buy something, you see white people still smoking. I'm talking about just straight crackers smoking. The shit that's made only for the white man. That's what you buy. Don't buy
white people. White people smoke out of they smoke out of bongs, or they smoke the OG papers. Those they smoke out of. You don't see no white people running around smoking out no blunt.
Yeah,
So but I know my people. They I live over here on the East Coast. These jokers hard pressed. Some of them going back to joints and stuff like that. So but I'm just putting it out there though. Just at least, you got to clean something up, man. You got to be smarter than that. We can't just fall down every road that they give us to take and don't think about which way that should lead. You know what I mean?
Yeah, most of these people don't view the white man as the enemy like that. You know what I'm saying? They can't really fathom that they. Can I read
a quote? Can I read a quote from Dr. Clark in his book, Who Betrayed the African War Revolution, page 37? In conclusion, the African Revolution was betrayed in 3 major arenas: in Black America, in the Caribbean islands, and Africa itself. There is now a need to examine in some detail the nature of this betrayal if we are to recover from it and prevent it from recurring in the future. Now peep this out. Black Americans emerged from the Second World War somewhat cynical and frustrated over the Jim Crow treatment of black soldiers. You know what the brother Solomon was just saying. Over the lack of jobs in the world industries and the continuation of system of segregation, many black soldiers have fought a war to make a world safe for other people without finding any safety for themselves and their respective families. This fight for equal pay for black teachers was gradually turned into a fight for equal education. This fight led to the Supreme Court decision in 1954 outlawing discrimination in schools. In our assessment of this event, we immediately went wrong because we did not sit down in community after community, organization after organization, and strategize. I'm going to say that again. We immediately went wrong because we did not sit down in community after community, organization after organization, and strategize. Instead of we celebrated. We made no assessment of our still prevailing enemies. Those who emerged, those who erected the Jim Crow system, were not going to change overnight at all. The Ku Klux Klan and other race organizations had no plans to change at all. Too many black Americans interpreted integration as meaning amalgamation. They began to dismantle or neglect sustaining institutions in the black community. There was a decline in entrepreneurship, a general decline in black store ownership. The black community was partly self-contained with its own barbershops, tailor shops, restaurants, small but clean hotels that kept the community intact, free of total white dependency. Some blacks were joyful about being able to be using the same faculties as whites. They neglected their own families in the deterrent of the community. The approach of the NAACP that rendered great service in the legal arena was disastrous in the social arena. Our children were bused into white schools to create an alleged racial balance without either white or black students being explained how to get along with each other. Many white teachers and students who resented this sudden move psychologically cut some of the students to pieces and scared them from life. Both black and white students went about integration the wrong way. The how and the why were not explained ahead of time. And he goes on about I can keep going, he breaks down the boycott of 1955 and the emergence of Martin Luther King Jr. solidified the basis of the civil rights movement. The embryo of this movement was set in motion by the Freedom Rides, defying Jim Crow on buses and sit-down movements at lunch counters and the demand for equal education on the college level as well as the primary level. That was in 55. So why motherfuckers camped out at McDonald's begging for a raise? Leaders were coming forth faster than people were coming forth to be led. Ain't that what's going on right now? Leaders were coming forth faster than people were coming forth to be led.
Yeah, exactly.
Some were able. Some were interesting charlatans. Because most of them spoke well, sometimes it was difficult to distinguish one from the other. The movement was centered in the South, with strong influence in the North. Now it's in the East, strong influence on the West. You see what I'm saying? But the clock is our prophet. Because of this mass media and white liberalization, the movement was beginning to get world attention. Some whites abroad genuinely sympathized with the plight of black Americans. Others pretended because of some reasons unrelated to black Americans. They disliked the United States. The important point here is that the black American movement in the United States was the beginning to get world attention. And at the center of the attention was the personality that represented America, Martin Luther King Jr. The unfortunate murder of Emmett Till, August 1955, heightened the drama and seriousness of the movement and increased its nationwide followers. Organization of the Core, Congress of Racial Equity, SNCC, and the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. See, at least these Christians was riding. Compromised the main part of the consortium that projected the civil rights movement. The NAACP was the legal arm of the movement and remained firm in this position until the aftermath on March in Washington in 1963. The creation of the anti-poverty programs siphoned some of the most able personalities in the civil rights movement. The Urban League was the employment arm of the sum of the unemployed college graduates and executives without jobs in the civil rights movement now had well-paying jobs in the anti-poverty program. Some former activists who were previously saying, "We shall overcome," got the impression that the personality had already overcome. Some of them, what's his name, said that, and I'm going to get you, sucker. Went in protesting, and they was hiring that day. The niggas dropped their motherfucking flag and picked up pens and filled an application.
Yeah. The niggas went to go ride, they came back with jobs.
You remember that? Yeah, you want me to keep going? Y'all go ahead. Y'all keep the bill.
Welcome West Tennessee to the line. You know what I'm saying? We like to welcome New York to the line. You know, everybody, y'all can add on. Y'all mics is open. We ain't trying to hold the mic, you know what I mean? We passing the mic tonight, you know what I mean? Peace. Go ahead, add on there, make a rock. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Got that up into a context for us.
He's breaking down, right? I'm born in 82, right? If you look at that, that's 19 years from JFK, right? We know politics, shit don't get rolling until after that nigga leave office, right? So really, they always cleaning up 2 or 3 offices. You know what I'm trying to say? I'm that X generation, that direct correlate. You know, Tupac coming with late 70s was a direct. He's a first generation. If you born like 75, 79, 78, you first generation, first spawn, right? We are the product of that legislation. They've had 20 years to practice curriculum in terms of not just schooling. That's one function, but behavior modification is another. You know, when you look up culture, to them culture is mold. That's how they're able to give you them correct dates. You know, when that's, you know, what they say, the shelf life of a food product is 2 weeks. They know because they sure it got something in there that's going, you know. So all that, you know, that whole basis on, you know, that milk, you know, that's getting old. The whole culture, how we interpret it, the filter of our interpretation becomes their filter, basically, to sum it up, right? And he's assessing some of the radical moves that define, because he's breaking down how we just got world attention. We just talking about this, right? America get first world attention, and America already shiesty to the world's eyes. But who's bringing the tune right now to represent everything America? Black folks. Martin Luther King Jr.
Well, in 1955, you were talking about the civil rights movement, you know, going on at that time. You know, there was a lot of other, world revolutions going on in Cambodia.
Right. True.
Matter of fact, Sudan was in 1955. They started a revolt that's still Sudan shit still going on. That's the shit that's going on all the way right now.
Right.
For the war going on right now in Sudan in 1955. But that was one of the reasons when America was seeing what was going on in the outside world, and they were seeing how that was changing the politics in those nations, and they wanted to hurry up and put a bottle cap on what they knew was coming right here in America.
Okay, let me skip and read this part right here, right? He talks about Washington. Then he does this, right? Martin Luther King Jr. had no difficulty with adversaries, black or white, so long as he preached nonviolence. When he began to criticize the war in Vietnam, the misuse of the resources of the U.S., and began to advocate poor people march on Washington, black, white, and otherwise, he was on a collision course with the powerful forces in modern-day history. In my opinion, the decision to kill Martin Luther King Jr. was made at this moment. This is Dr. Clark talking. The assassination of Malcolm X on February 21st, 1965, and the assassination of Luther King Jr. on April 4th, 1968, removed the two greatest spokesmen for African black liberation in the 20th century, with the exception of Marcus Garvey. Now, without specific direction, blacks could retreat into middle classism. Let me say it again. Nowadays, without specific direction, blacks could retreat into middle classism. Some hid behind color graduates, fraternities and sororities, and other social organizations. The common folk, who at least had the illusion of having companions in Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X, felt that they had now were without a champion. The movement led by Elijah Muhammad was still functioning, though it was never part of the civil rights movement. It was pseudo-religious upliftment movement whose mass appeal was limited. The main thing needed in black America was a movement that went beyond religious, political, and cultural boundaries, and that unify African people on an all-class basis.
That's definitely what we're looking for. That's what we're looking for. That's what you're saying that.
That's what we're looking for.
Who betrayed the African Revolution? Dr. Clark, man.
That's an excellent read, too. Excellent read by Dr. John Henry Clark. It's not that big of a book either, so y'all can read through it. It ain't like it's gonna take you forever to read through the book. Well, you saying that, man, that leads back to what we were talking about, what is strived to be produced in what's quote unquote called a conscious community now, especially up here in the East Coast, is striving to build like a unified type of group here. But what's going on is it seems like it's being portrayed right now. When they saying who betrayed our revolution, we got to start looking at who's betraying us now in our revolution. You know what I mean? So that's something that I'm really seeing that's what's going on. I think we're being betrayed from the inside because the enemy was already here before we even started out. And I don't think a lot of people being checked properly on the ideologies that are being brought into the movement. And also, I don't think that we have a guideline that people are following as to what is going to be our rewards and punishments for our ways and actions within the movement.
Well, and everybody should have this book because if we say, well, what's the solution? What's the solution, right? Dr. Clark give you our history with the European and strategic political, the hows and whys and what, you know what I mean, and what we did and our mistakes. And if we all get on the court with that, with our flaws, like I agree with that brother when he says steel sharpens steel. You feel me? Wow.
Hey. Make a rock.
What's up?
Yeah, definitely. Still sharp as steel, man. That's all I wanted to see. I'm hoping, is the brother, is Imam Bashir on the line?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, I thought he was on the line. He might have dropped off. And I was going to ask him if he had dropped that video yet. I was trying to catch that. You know what I mean? Because we had an in-depth conversation earlier today. And I was really wanting him to be on the line so we can go into that also. We hit off on what we wanted to hit off. If you want to throw in anything that y'all, anything that's going on that y'all think is, something that we need to be discussing, go ahead and throw it in. Like I said, y'all lines is unmuted. Everybody line unmuted. So, this is an open conversation. Just put the feet on the ground. Just don't float nowhere.
I wanted to hear the sister if she's still on to build off the what you know about the MGOs.
Yeah. The GMOs?
Yeah, the GMOs.
Face Queen, you still on the line?
Yeah, I'm still here. Did he say that the GMOs, the genetically modified organisms?
Yes, because up here in Connecticut, they just now signed as a legislator to label all the GMO products here. So I'm really waiting to go to the store in like the next month and see how many products are labeled in that mannerism, just to go down the aisle and start counting.
Yeah, they're doing the same thing here in California. Also, I believe the vote went the bill passed to do the same thing here in California. Basically, it's going to state what it is. You know, the majority of the genetically modified foods and the awareness about them starts with like the patenting of a lot of the cornfields, things like that in Central America, and things like places like South America and so on and so forth. But they're going to be putting the information on there in a way where if you don't go do the research, also you still not going to understand it. You know, it's going to be the same thing as like when they put organic or natural or range free or all those things like that. You got to know, you got to know how that works. For instance, with like organic foods or foods that state that it's all natural, they have certain what do you call those barcodes, UPCs attached to them, and they have to have a certain number to be authenticated. Somebody can put that something's natural, but it may not be as natural as you think, you know, and organic as you think, or farm raised in a farm near you. You know, you might still be getting food from the East Coast but on the West Coast, and somebody saying that it's organic, but that's still not a certified organic in certain ways, where organic food is supposed to have like a certain shelf life, in which say if you're getting a chicken from North Carolina or something like that, by the time it reaches California, that shelf life is gone for it to be honestly certified organic. If you're not getting it, I'm in California, if you're not getting it from San Jose or something like that, most likely it is not certified organic, but they can still put organic on it.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying? It has to be certified organic. It's a whole bunch of wordplay. So therefore, I'm waiting to see what's going to happen too, because what I believe is that they're just going to put the minimal, you know, I think one of the biggest parts of all this is that, you know, if you're not educated, you're going to be, people are still going to be doomed. You know what I'm saying? And they're not putting out enough information on these topics. They just throwing it out there, and then it's like, oh, you figure it out, which is, you know, America's resistance from day one. If you don't go and research and learn it, you know, that's on you, basically, is how they look at it. But I don't know what other questions y'all, any questions in specific you guys have, but I will say that, like, corn, plants, man, I don't know if people are going into these stores and seeing how you can buy a whole bag of parts, only certain parts of chicken wings, just the drumsticks. Where's the other part of the wing? You know what I'm saying? So right there, those are triggers to let you know that what you're buying is something going on there. You know what I'm saying? Anytime you can go buy a whole bag of the wing portion of the chicken and don't know what a drumstick is, it's a problem.
What was your name again, Quinn? Hold on, what was your name again, Quinn? I'm going to ask you that earlier.
Mark.
Oh, all right then. Welcome to the show, Quinn. I apologize for not welcome you earlier. But yeah, when you said that, that's definitely a funny thing when you speak about the portions that go inside of those bags, where they call, you know, like the wings planes, where you'll get a bag and it is so many pieces that are like the little drumstick part, and you're not finding the other pieces, and you know exactly what's going on.
And it's sold cheaply. If you want a fresh pack of what they call fresh anyway, Foster Farms or whatever, you go over there in the section where that's being sold, you're going to get, you know, $11 pack of wings. But then you can go over to the frozen food section, and the wings are green and black and bruised and, you know, you name it. You know, people are not picking up on this stuff. I don't get how they're not picking up on it, but when I shop, I'm very picky and particular where I get, you know, the ground beef is in wrappings where you can't see the beef. They're in tubes. You know what I'm saying? It's really crazy because anything you get in a tube, it reminds you of a hot dog, a wiener, where they just mash up everything and just sell it to you. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, if you're not paying attention, you know, what you're buying, you know, that's your health right there. And, you know, I'm one of those people. I'm happy to say I haven't been sick since I was age 19. I'm 39. So, you know, I attributed that to trying to eat the best way I can on what I can afford. But it's serious, especially, you know, our community is high blood pressure, heart disease, diabetes, you know, just everything related to the way we eat is crazy. I'm going to go get a pack of hog maws if that's what I desire for like $4.25 right now. Big old pack. But I can't get no salmon for that price. So, you know, you got pictures and stuff like that. I don't know what else y'all. I want to go back and there's a book called Black Cola. Now, if you Google it, you probably gonna find it on Amazon. It's called Black Cola. It was written in, I want to say like the 70s. I really forget, but I did a whole visual, artistic piece on this actual book. I want to say about 15 years ago, in which you know, I read through the book and I did like a little display, put it on display in the Leimert Park section of Los Angeles. And basically in that book, it basically goes over. It's not a fact-based book. It's fiction, but to me, it's fact. It's a book about what am I trying to say? A little black boy drinking black cola, et cetera, and how it was what do you call it? The fertility, messing with his fertility and whatnot. You know, same thing is with I heard you guys talking about that with the cigarettes, cigars, and things like that. And then the brother commented on the wraps that the brothers use, the smoke blunts that's only sold primarily. I'm not going to say they're not sold in smoke shops, but we all know who's going to the smoke shops. But the zombies going to the smoke shop. But those the wraps and stuff like that, I got two sons, and I'm on them all the time. Like, don't, you know, leave them wraps alone. There's something in them wraps. Something in them wraps you can't get if you go over into the, you know, the next community, which is the white community. They don't have those wraps
already. Now you say that. No, you definitely right, Queen. They don't even sell that type of shit inside their store. So
they even got the little. I don't know if anybody seen these, but you go into the liquor store and they got the little display thing, and they got these little, I don't know what they call. It's like a little round ball of alcohol.
Little nip.
Talking about them, little pop off.
That's what they call them. All right, we call them nips over here. I don't know exactly which ones you're talking about, but I know they got all different types of them inside.
Yeah, but they like $1. They're like $1, but they like 20-30% alcohol. It's like, you know, a real drink.
Here they got some little ones like that where they make what. This is something that I found out because I met a gentleman who worked inside of a liquor distributor, and what he said was, you know, they sell those little, you know, they have those little, like the little bottles that you're talking about. They make them in little Hennessy, all these different type of liquors. They make a small one just like that. So Rock, I'm talking about almost any type of major liquor, they make a small
$1.
one. Yep.
They like $1. They $1.
Yep, like $1.
targeting.
But the thing is that they target it towards us. But this is the thing, is that they give those to the liquor store for free for promotion. They're supposed to be giving them more. Now, I ain't telling you that they, I ain't saying that, we should go get it for free. But I'm just saying that this is how far they go in order to make sure that they promote the product in our neighborhood, is that they go to these little corner stores and they give them these products to make sure that they pushing them to it.
Well, they frustrated right now because, the black people, we sticking with the herb and the herb only. We're not going for the bath salts and everything else. We content with the herb, maybe, like you said, now they targeting the drink because you see what I'm saying? Before they wasn't. Now they back targeting these drinks because they, you got these kids sipping these syrups and all that, so they're looking for a way to get in that instant high off these little round ball concoctions or whatever. And I know a couple of kids that run around my apartment complex. They drink them and they say, woo, you know what I'm saying? It's like taking 3 shots of Patron at once, they say. So it's like they back targeting that way because now you getting the kids that's buying the pipe or the bongs, or they still going off the old white, wrapping papers and smoking out of those because, they throats are hurting when they smoking these blunts. It's instantly hitting, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, they just constantly looking for a way to not only, I want to say, keep our youth high or whatever, but, like I was getting ready, what I was saying a minute ago is just causing issues with the fertility in the youth or the women or the black men with erectile dysfunctions and, all that stuff. Which I hear a lot about because I got sons and I got 4 older brothers and about 8 nephews, and they come to me and they tell me these issues, and I'm like, man, you might need to ease up on something. One of these things.
My father tell me all the time. He said, listen, son. He said, I got friends, and they all talking about they popping Viagra's and all this stuff. He said, man, I'm telling you, ain't nothing. He said, I ain't gonna never have to pop no pill. Herbs is the best way to go.
Yeah, that and some young hembe root.
And if Dr. Satan can go by it, I do too.
You get that young hembe root, it works wonders also.
I'm telling you. And when you assess everything that we talking about, how can people say we not at war? Because you got to get a cracker of one thing, man. He ain't leaving nothing out. Everything is deadly. The food can kill you. The weed, you know what I'm saying?
The air, the water. Then they don't give you bottled water that they take it out of filter.
And you know why we don't get paranoid, though? Because deep down, I think we know, like, what don't kill you make you stronger in a sense, right? And if we was to really sit down and interrogate the cracker, like, all right, pull out the books, let's look at your notes, let's look at your your bookie and shit. And he was to sit there and tell us all the ways he tried to kill us and was unsuccessful, we'd probably be like, damn. For real.
Well, as far as the water is concerned, the only real water we got left now is the alkaline water, which they making all these machines real expensive to get a hold to now to do it yourself or so forth and whatnot. But it's very important. It's very important.
Even if you're getting it from a river, you know what I mean? You don't know. He polluting the river. Even if you're getting your water straight from the ground, from the river to your hand, to the bottle.
Nah, you're saying that about the chemicals. You know what else they chemically inducing? Is they chemically inducing this damn faggotry. They chemically inducing faggotry. See, because there's a lot of these different type of chemicals that mess with your endocrine gland. And this mess with your, you know what I'm saying, how much of your testosterone and your estrogen you get inside your body. And so with this, when they mess with your endocrine gland, it make a man more, if you got a dysfunctional endocrine gland and you a man, it's gonna make you more feminine. And if you're a woman, it's gonna make you more masculine. And this is shit that they got going on and on, because that's one of the things with soy. That soy is one of these products that they talk like it's a health product, and they put it in damn near every every product that they can manufacture.
And you think,
there.
right, you got a point there, brother, because when I was in the biology class, all genes lie dormant, right? So the food can be bad too, but if you got bad food and a bad environment, that promote what? Stress levels, whether you know it or not. You know what I mean? So in terms of the children, let me ask you this question, brother, off that knowledge you just brought. If you a child, you was like going through, let's say, preschool to kindergarten, right? And when they're teaching you to stay still in this created-ass environment, in this box, right? Your reward is to play outside. That's manipulating would you say, indoctrinating gland, brother? Which I connect with the hormones, right? That's manipulating the child's hormone growth at a young age, right?
Right.
Now, let's build, right? The same way, right? If you've never been to jail before, the most subtle moment of remembrance or clarity would be during what? Child, right? Because the same trays, same tables, and same food. If you went to a Western, you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. I understand.
Milk, cocktail, right? And in jail, it's the same thing. It's even worse because niggas' hormones is really up and down because they caged up.
Yeah.
Environment, bad food.
They put something in that fucking food in jail, man.
Bad spirituality can kill you.
That's well. Why do you think they got the prison system? They keep them brothers caged up so they don't get that natural light, energy, or fresh air.
Yeah, man. They put all the warriors in there.
Deplete all your cells. They're gonna deplete all their cells. When they get out, they ain't. You know what I'm saying? Full of vigor.
No.
Then you get out. It takes months. It takes months to get full of that vigor. By that time, your parole officer been in contact with you, and you back in there.
Black man, if you in jail, it's really confinement from your God, the sun, whether you know it or not. Further than say, you get to look at that sun. He's saying that subtly because we appreciate it. We know that same notion, but when we sit there and analyze it, because we've been taught away from the Amirai. You know what I'm saying? We've been taught away. Oh, that's just to take it for granted. You feel me?
No, I'm gonna tell you, Jack, right? When cats come home from jail, though, right? It depends on what jail you at. And when cats come home from jail, they come home from jail. Most times you come home from jail, they come home with what they call that jail shine. And what I'm saying is they physically ain't been out in the world getting high and doing all types of shit, ripping and running. But what I think that is they induce them with all type of hormonic type of chemicals within inside the food that really is what's messing them up. Because a lot of times you can physically become different inside jail because of the fact that you are away from a lot of the running around that you do on the street. You know what I'm saying? So you're in a confined position. But I think that a lot of it got to, because I'm saying, man, they give you all type of fucking shit that you don't know what this shit is. They're giving you drinks and juices that you don't know what is in this mess when you drinking this stuff. You know what I mean? It's definitely
psychology, man. It's like psychology. Skinner's theory, war and punishment, right? They do it with rats, right? Down at the university and whatnot. You know, if the rat bud, if he drink from this, we give him, however we want to run our program. It's gonna be through punishment and reward, though. You feel me? That's how you can shape what? Behavior, right? So if he buzzes for not going that way, and every time he run around his cage, he gets a snack, he'll do that more often. That's all prison is. It's a rat maze for because the psychologists. That's why I read comic books. You know what I'm saying? When you read the comic book Batman, right? When you look at Arkham Asylum, which is the insane asylum, it's the head warden who's creating most of the patients is what? A psychologist. Psychologists sit at the head of social sciences because it deals with the mind. It deals with overall behavior modification on site applied. Because to get to psychology, you have to have apply. You got to go through some kind of, like in your bubble, you got to have so many hours of training. You have to have so many hours with patients, so many hours, whatever field or expertise, if it's children, you have to be around children. You have to watch, critique, note behavior. And that's what they doing in prisons, man. You know what I mean? For real.
Yeah, you know what they create convicts in prison. I remember one time when I went to jail, and I went to jail for a little while. I'm in here, and the old head, me and this old head about to bang out. And the old head was like, yo, he was saying this to me. He's like, yo, you don't know me, you just a criminal. You just a criminal. He's like, I'm a convict. I do this, man. I'm a convict. And I was just looking around at all these other convicts in here. And it was like, damn, you know, I'm thinking back on it now. It was really the system that you talk about, that reward and punishment system. Them being in jail was sort of like a reward because it was harder on the streets for them to be in jail. See, because in jail, it gave them an organized system. Because if you stay in jail for a little while, you be in that system. Like I was in, you know what I'm saying? I know I was in the system. I had a system that I did every day. Yeah. I had things I did every single day. You know what I'm saying? My pants, I folded them a certain way every day at night. I took everything was done a certain extent way. You know what I'm saying? All times is already accounted for. Know what's going to be done. Know what's going to be for breakfast every day. Know what's going to be for lunch. Know what's going to be for dinner. Every day of the week, ain't no doubt about it. I know this shit. You know what I'm saying? It becomes a comfort, you know what I'm saying, to know exactly what's going on and don't have no type of worries about what's going to be the next action, you know what I'm saying? It's a type of complacency. And a lot of us is on adolescent in mind when we come out of our own homes dealing with our own parents. We're still adolescents in the mind, and that adolescence stays on. And so inside jail, it gives you a sense of adolescence, and then it gives you somebody who is giving you an order and direction, you know what I'm saying? Because you don't know how to order and direct yourself. I was just thinking about why do people always go back, and I'm like, damn, it's like now I could see that some people, they like to be back in here. I used to know people that were like every winter they would go to jail. They would make sure.
And people act like it's hard to go to jail, though. Let's be real.
Right.
It ain't hard to go to jail.
No, it ain't hard. No, it's not hard at all. Like every winter, they would make sure that they did some type of crime that they would have to cop out for like 3, 4 months, 5 months, and be in jail from like November to February, March, and get out, and then just be out because they didn't have nowhere to live at. So they'll get out, and they know they're going to be out from spring to summertime. Yeah. And they would go to jail again and just stay in there for the winter, do the same thing again. Straight up crackhead dudes, shit like that. They'll sit in there and get straight for a little while, let their checks collect up, and then come home, get high for the whole summer, and go back to jail.
Now that's when you know that's behavior modification, repetitive behavior.
Yeah.
You can almost say a compulsive behavior, because sometimes would you say he don't even have to be checking. Like, well, it's about that time. He can feel it already. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yo, well, like, and I knew it was true because I was like, damn, and like he had said the shit to me, and then I'm like, damn, yo, where Pete at, man? And he's like, yo, Pete in jail. I'm like, this nigga stay in jail, and yo. I was like, all right, that's what it is. He really on that. Like, that's what he do. That's what he do. He really do.
But sometimes real cops be picking bones with niggas too. Don't get it twisted. You feel me? Do not get it twisted. Especially if they know that they cracked you once, and he trying to make a career off nigga, off any case, trying to get from being a nigga in uniform to a DA or something. Man, they be building careers off us, man. You feel me? To come up with a rationale, like okay, I'll give you a point. In Highland, California, right? Little area, well, dense population of black people move, right? We call Little Africa, right? Mm-hmm. Now, all hoods, for those who don't know, all hoods are communist countries, right? If you're not from there, you have an issue. If you don't know nobody there who can confirm, you have an issue because it's self-sufficient in all ways unless infiltrated, right? So, under infiltration, right, a hop shop commissioner who's now mayor, right? One of this called proposition, I think 1,000 or something like that, right? Where niggas that get cracked with small time work, anything, they can cop out and take a drug program. So niggas getting caught with work, like I smoke. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
And getting, and doing their little program, and it's crazy because on certain parts of the day, right up the street from the police station, right, half of them in they little organizations, they halfway houses and shit. You might see 30 men walking down the street, going for certain days they do car washes and shit, right?
Hold on, make it wrong.
There was 3 schools in the hood. So if niggas get cracked with work, what?
Make it right. You're saying they starting a drug program over there, like drug court.
Right.
You can go there.
So if you get caught with work, right?
Yeah, I did that. I did that program. What you gotta do is say you get high and shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Right.
Yeah.
PC 1000 or something like that, right? But you gotta be under a certain amount. Niggas get caught with, niggas is getting hard time getting caught with this one. Chopped up stones. Nigga, you can't use. Nigga, you got 20 rocks. Smoke. And getting locked up now. You can use. Under this shit. If it's in one bundle, you good, whatever, right?
Really.
He moved up the judge, right? He shut down. He credited for shutting down Little Africa, right? Over people that's always over a young getting killed. I don't know if it be spontaneous. I don't know if it be mind control. I don't know if it be planned. I don't know if you know what I'm trying to say. That give them rationale to come in like the motherfucking feds. You know what I'm trying to say, my nigga?
Mm-hmm.
A little girl gets shot in the head or something. Boom, motherfucking Operation Phoenix. All the police in the whole county. I'm just real talk. San Bernardino County, the biggest county in America, my nigga. Go look it up, right? All that shit, right? Under one motherfucking guise now where you can see any cop from any city he basically got the same rights of a sheriff. The sheriff got the whole county. He can go in any county and lock you up. The city police got, the ordinance of that city. You know what I'm saying? An incorporated zone. You feel me? Nigga, Operation Phoenix, nigga. So you might see Colton, motherfucking Redlands, right? I'm out here like, wow, I'm coming back from Tennessee. Like, this shit is crazy out here, right? Shut down, like, knocked out all the projects and built 3 schools. Right? What does that tell you? A war.
Mm-hmm. It's a war. They're playing for it.
If on one hand, if you get cracked with work by a school, that's all. Anything, a pistol, or you're in a school zone, he gonna use the little kids as a crutch. But he put the motherfucker there. Why would you put 3 schools, my nigga, in one hood? Who needs wow.
Check this out. In Chicago, they plan on going to round up 18,000 gangster disciples. They've drawn up plans right now and putting them through and drawing up their legislation. They're trying to put it and pass it through the Senate in Illinois in order for them to send in federal troops and round up 18,000 people. They already got names that they want to get them. And I'm saying, this is and what you're saying right now, all over the country, they have already been training. That's one of the reasons they wanted to go into Iraq also, is to get that inner city training. They needed to be training in the city so they can have live action in the city and get the people used to killing people that's looking like you and all that shit. You know what I'm saying? So, you put them over there, get them to blowing up them people, and then bring them right back over here.
Hey, he the mayor now.
Mm-hmm.
Like Denzel Washington said in that movie, I've gave over 300 years of mandated time. That type of shit.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? That type of shit. You know what I mean? That training day shit. Motherfucker, he's trying to sit your ass up. He letting you know, man, I put time on motherfuckers, man. And this where we fall into the crux of not understanding that it's a war. It's a war going on out here, man. It's a war on the horizon, man, and it's a war on many fronts. Wow.
Black ops, nigga. Don't hear about this shit because it's black ops.
Yeah.
That came and got pooped. You know what I'm saying? Middle of the night. That's kidnapping, nigga. Motherfucker stopping you, asking you for your name, and then run your name in their little box or whatever, and come back talking about you got a certain amount of money on your head. You're coming with me. That's kidnapping. And held for ransom. Then he take you to your superior. He take your clothes and your drawers and put you among other fellow kidnappers. Come on, man. He's so good at that shit because of slavery.
Point yourself. Listen, in New York right now, they enacted a law where if you got more than $100 on you, man, they taking it. They taking it, and then they gonna give you some type of little debit card that go through Chase Bank, and they're gonna verify how you're supposed to have that much money, and then after so many weeks, you'll be able to probably get your money back if they find this from a verifiable resource.
Now listen to that. That's capability, resources, and objective. In terms of warfare, when you look at it through the lenses of war, you see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
He got the capability of taking your money from you, giving you another one. He got the resource to facilitate coordinating however much money you know what I'm trying to say? Come on.
Round your shit up.
Because I know back, they used to do us the shakedown when we used to get money, when I'm an 80s, 90s baby, I'm talking about early 90s, and we used to just stuff the money, after making the fade, stuff the money in our pockets, and the police stop us, and they be like, how much money you got? And you be like, I got about 600, and you got 1,000, he'll take 400 and give you 6.
Mm.
So the OGs make sure you keep your money neat, you know what I mean?
Well, here, let's check this out, man. So you're saying that, and I'm looking at the situation, I'm like, damn, this is right after, so many incidents that's being hit in the news and all over because people are being locked up at these high-end stores down there in New York, going in to buy stuff with cash.
Mm-hmm.
$500, $600, $700, they spend $1,000, they spend $1,500, and they dropping cash money on these jokers. So now instead of the stores changing the policy of we're not going to be calling the cops on y'all, they decided let's change the legislation, let's change the law. You can't even bring that much money down here. Period. Now niggas check this one out. If we catch you with that much money, that was against the law for you to have that. We just get the police to come down here and check them out.
People don't feel like with that card or with a chip, it's authorization or not. It's not. At least you can have your accumulated wealth, whatever. If it was ping pongs or whatever, and we had to run with $100 ping pongs or whatever, and you got all your ping pong $100,000. You got your accumulated physical wealth. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
It's being pimped because it's like Jay-Z or something, right? Some cracker wrote down a big number on a piece of paper and showed it to him. His eyes, and he just been stuck ever since. But he's never physically seen, touched any of what that accumulated wealth was. Couldn't touch half of it if he wanted to. Couldn't walk up to the bank and say, I want to take a quarter of everything I own out, and gold and bullion and silver. Nigga, they gonna make a phone call like this nigga, Mr. Carter, how you doing? Is there a problem? Because if there is, nigga, it's a form of war.
Mm-hmm.
I have here your file says you just get anything that's of squandering. You know what I mean? You have free rights to squander whatever you want. You want to take your money? That's not squandering. That's consolidating. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, I understand.
Oh yeah.
That's how they hit us off, man.
Oh yeah. See, all his wealth come from that of other people. So he's waiting he's an idea stealer. So we know this already. You know what I mean? He's looking for the next idea because he's elite. You know what I mean?
Well,
he's listening now. He's created a web that's wide open now, so he can just, pick and choose. I love these. I can't stand them, but I love them. I need them. And that's the basics, going back to the beginning of the show with that genetic shit, man. You know what I mean? So basically, you want to consolidate stock, Some of them want to have it back like in slavery when they had like vampires. You just go, bring me a nigger slave here and drain his blood. You know what I'm trying to say? Shit like that, they can perform all they sadistic acts within their own ranks, and see, they got problems too. This ain't no unified white party.
Nah, yeah, you're right. The white people are not monolithic as we think they are.
Racism is for white people.
White people is all.
Hear me, fam?
They practice white supremacy, but they definitely not no monolithic group. They have.
Listen to me. Racism
Go ahead.
functions for poor white people who really being duped by their own people who richer. They're subordinate, and we're just something they can take their frustrations out on, right? But it's not working no more. Look at Obama became president. They say white folks buying all kind of guns up, right? Not one attempt on his life. I keep saying this over and over. Why? Because they know they've been infiltrated by their old enemies. Eastern Europeans came over here, man, and the Irish, like we were talking about earlier, and they came with an agenda for their people.
Uh-huh.
How the fuck is Greece bankrupt? How can you teach that Greek was the originator in schools of civilization, and these motherfuckers are smoking ice, and you know what I'm saying, behind cars? Oh, it's a crazy YouTube clip out there. You feel me? And bankrupt.
Now, that's why I was saying though about how you got to exploit exactly what's going on between them, and then understanding, World War II, the genetic annihilation, World War I and World War II was a culmination of earlier experiments. When they had the genetic conference, what sprouted out of that was an ultimate plan of white supremacy on how they were going to destroy the rest of the world, the rest of the melanated populations.
Right.
The influx into Africa at that point in time was for them to be able to have footholds on money. You know what I'm saying? As we know, inside the Congo, they produce rubber.
Right.
So that rubber production was something that was needed because this was a newly mechanized world, fully mechanized. So now they were producing vehicles at a crazy rate. So everybody needed this product. So this built a substantial economic base for Europe. Got to look at Goodyear and Liberia also. You got to look at these people who, took up the mantle of white supremacy in Africa and helped to dominate the economic goods there in order to, finance what was going on in the arena of the world.
But it got to be politics first.
Yeah, everything is politics first.
Once we get our politics together, we won't talk about. Let's be real. Look at the politics for any organized religion, right? We need a new roof, or we need we put it out there, and in time, you're gonna see something. Somebody's gonna make some kind of contribution, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can function on that level, right? And pay zakat and pay your charity or your tithe, right? Under the that's how religion is a good kind. See, like you're saying, with Europeans mastered connery in Europe. Every single con now. We're late in the game. Because we never had the con people. Because we always were in an environment that was resourceful. Let's be real. Ain't nothing resourceful in Europe. Like Dr. Clark, he wants to. They cannot say the African or Asia wants to invade Europe because who wants to thaw out icebox?
Nobody has a Europe.
Name one import or export out of Europe. I'll wait.
There's only guns.
Not
no minerals.
No minerals.
Not no minerals. Not nothing. No. I don't know any agricultural things that they really export out of there. Maybe olive oil.
They broke Texas. Mm-hmm.
Huh?
You see how fast they broke Texas oil?
Mhm. maybe olive oil. That's about it.
That's the Mediterranean. That really ain't Europe.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying. That really ain't even Europe. So it's like, and that really in Europe that's exported out of here. They do a lot of importing. So that's why they vampires on the rest of the world, is because they gotta have. They was born in a society that had nothing, so their only ideology is to get and grasp and take all of that which is around them. Because when you have nothing, and the first time you get something, you want more.
Exactly. And you got to eat somebody else's steak.
Yeah. That's what they did. They taught us how to take shit for them. You know what I'm saying? See, this is what a minority population does. They teach the rest of the world to give them to them. So that's why everybody thinks that in order for you to conduct business, you got to have a suit and tie. That's business apparel. You know, it's not business apparel because if you're not in this, you're not going to be able to crunch numbers. You can't be a good accountant if you don't got this type of attire on. It's because the Caucasian has already cultivated the idea of business and made the idea of business look like him. And so when you put on that suit and tie, then that's what you all right now. Now you ready for business. You ain't got that on, you ain't ready for business. Turn around. Go back, do something else. It's like, you know, you see this going on all over the world. You know, in Asia, when you see a Japanese man with a business suit on. This is what this is what you're seeing. When you see this happening, anything in Europe, that's what you see in Europe. But when you go to Africa and you see the brother from Ghana come step up with a suit on, you know what's going on. It's the colonization of the mind. You know, I'm not going to touch them yet. I'm not going to touch them.
Hey, you made a good point, too, brother, because our condition in America is just like in Africa. We was to shut down and unite America, all these so-called, it'll be the same thing in Africa. If we close down all doors, right, no more, nothing coming out of Africa. For, we'll give a set amount of time until we get our shit together. Send everybody a memo. All those people in ties and shit, they're going to snatch that tie off and put that on the ground, right? Because all business is centered around our land, our ideas, our culture. Truly, we are gods because everybody here to serve us. Got it from that aspect, from an elder perspective. They come to us with problems without asking.
You know what you're saying that? You're saying that, son. I'm gonna tell you one thing, right? I'm looking at our situation and what are we going to do with the elders? You know what I'm saying? As becoming the new elders, what are we going? How is our forward march going to be in this new age of motherfucking warfare? This cyber warfare, this new information, because we're in the information age and this new information war. Because this is what the war that we dealing with right now is that people are not being properly informed. There's so much misinformation and disinformation going out there, and people are so busy with information and not gaining any knowledge through, living. You got to take what you learn and put that shit to the test. Put it to the test. You got to put it to the test. I mean, deal with other people, see if what you've been informed on is actual fact, something that you can stand on that goes through time. You know what I mean? And most of us, we are informed about a lot of things. And I was just looking at a thing, and a brother cited to me that, listen, I need to watch Zeitgeist in order for me to understand what was going on in the universe. And I said, well, why the hell would I have to watch Zeitgeist to understand what's going on in the universe? I'm not dealing in fantasy land. This ain't fantasy time for me to be going to watch YouTube information, try to inform myself. You better start getting some books before they outlaw them shits.
Hey, for real, like Dr. Amos Wizard say, huh? You got grown men sitting down getting drunk, watching other grown men on TV run into each other, get up, run into each other over and over. Get out of that sports shit, man, that competitive nature, you know.
You know what I'm saying? We always try to be better than somebody instead of bettering somebody. You know what I'm saying? And you gotta catch that. You know, and like I said, we always trying to be better than someone rather than bettering someone. You know what I'm saying? And that's where we need to start looking into our life as bettering each other. You know, we need to be each other's allies and friends out here on this war front that we got going on. As we've seen from all the information that was dropped today on just the genetic annihilation stemming from World War I and II and the connection between Nazism, IG Farb, and all these medical companies, you know what I mean, where the banks that still run everything, you know, all wars are run by banks, you know, and so, you know, we have to start to see the connections between the larger political scope and our own lives right here at home. And what we need to do is start to practice better politics inside our own home, meaning who we deal with, what we deal with. If you say you come in African Center, this how many times in a month are you buying food? Are you going out to eat at somewhere that's not African owned? You know what I mean? How many times do you bypass the Indian store and find the black man store? I know some places it's still, you know, if you drink, it's some places that still got black package stores. The fellas still selling a little bit of liquor. Find them. Find them. Take a little extra trip. Find them. Find out who's doing it. You know what I mean? That's what we need to start. You know, you need to just find out who is. If you indulge in with whatever you like, just try to find someone who is liking unto you that is selling that product. You know, I go all the way to, you know, it's times that I bypass 2, 3, 4 stores just to go because there's no like black people from America in my neighborhood who own a corner store, but it's some Ethiopians who own a corner store. Mm-hmm. So I go past everybody else's corner store just to go to the Ethiopians. So I'm like, if I'm gonna spend money somewhere, I'll spend it with the Ethiopians. Anybody else, I can't spend it with y'all like that. You know what I'm saying? Because I already know you've got something against me. Period. Because you don't live here, and you don't live here. As soon as you close this store, you'll be with the money.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So that's how I look.
If you ain't got one out there, you ain't got one near you, open one up. Go downtown to the city hall and get you a little business license, man, and go on over there and get you one of them $200 a month office suites, man, and quit hanging on the corner, man. You know what I'm saying? Make T-shirts or something, sell DVDs from your little office suite, man.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely have to start. You know, a small business can grow large, man. You got to start somewhere. And I was saying this before, you could get a DBA, which is a doing business as title. It might cost around $5, $6, $7 at your local city hall, and you can make up to $25,000 without reporting it to the IRS. So I say, do it.
Nonprofit.
Do it. You know, that's where you have to start looking into doing those types of things. You have to get into entrepreneurship and also hiring somebody. We got to be thinking about jobs that not only employ ourselves, but employ our family members. You know, we got to be thinking family business because that way you're more stable with a family business when everybody putting in. You know what I'm saying? And find things that you like to do, you know what I'm saying, in order for y'all to accomplish more. Take time with you know what I'm saying? Take time with your children. You know, speak to them as best as, you know, in the best manner that you can. Make sure that you give them a proper understanding of things that's going on. If they ask you questions, answer the questions. If you don't know, say, I don't know, but I'll get back to you with that research. and look and find out what they're talking about. Find out what they're talking about as best as possible, and go back to them, because once your children realize that they can count on you as a parent, once our babies realize that they can count on us as adults, period, to tell them the truth, then we'll have a better connection with them. And that's one of the things that I think is missing with the gap between the elders and the youth is the lie game. Is that, you know what I'm saying, we wanted to sugarcoat what was going on out here because they prayed that it would change, but it has not changed. And since it has not changed and we were not told what was going on, we are, you know what I'm saying, in a dire situation, man, what they call dire straits. So, you know, I like to say that that's something that we have to do. We got to start taking better care of what we say to our young adults, our youth. You know what I mean? Give our babies accurate information as best as you can give it. And if you don't know something, it's all right to say, I don't know. But with that, you know, with that, I like to, you know, thank y'all for coming out to Feet on the Ground. And, you know, the microphone is open, so to everybody who out there and out there listening, the microphone open if you want to say something. Everybody got a chance to close out. Brother Cole. I think I see him on the line. Nah, that's not him. Well, Brother Mikaran, it's me and you, Brother Hey Rule. We got the Queen on the line. We got West Tennessee on the line. We got some people in the chat room. You know what I mean? So what I like to say though is that I'd like to thank y'all for coming out. Mikaran, you want to close out with a couple words?
Basically what you were speaking on with the parents, you know what I mean? You know, have something to give your child other than a gift, a physical gift that they gon', you know, it's gonna be old next year. You know, kid got on $150 Jordans and whatnot. KD went 0.1 African nation on the map. That's a problem. We need to get out the sports thing, man. We need to get back into real sciences. You know what I mean? You know, engineers, pilots. You know, politicians. You know, that's gonna politic for us, African politicians. You know, African businessmen, African teachers. You know, and we can see some, momentum grow, and by reflecting back on our history, we can see we can see certain things happen because we have elders. Don't think that we ain't got elders who ain't had the same experience, felt the same stresses, had the same open mind about trying to fix the problems we have today. You know, to forget that is to be isolated. To isolate yourself is to cut yourself off from history. You know, to cut yourself history, cut yourself from the truth. And, you know, the root can't survive long by itself. You know. So, basically, that's pretty much it. You know, find something to agree with before you disagree with. And test friends that's not African. Test them.
Right? That's peace right there. Whole time. Queen, you wanna close out? You got any closing remarks you'd like to express? All right. Well, this been Feet on the Ground Radio. I mean, I thank y'all for coming out tonight. You know what I'm saying? We had a very good dialogue. And the theme for the day is that, you know what I'm saying, at the end of the day, we're going to have to get back into our family harder and stronger. We got to make sure that our eyes are always looking forward, but we cannot forget what's happened in the past. And with that, I like to say my whole chat of BB for Holiday, which means African liberation. Peace. Right.
a gift, a physical gift that they gon', you know, it's gonna be old next year. You know, kid got on $150 Jordans and whatnot. KD went 0.1 African nation on the map. That's a problem. You know, we need to get out the sports thing, man. We need to get back into you know, real sciences. You know what I mean? You know, engineers, pilots. You know, politicians. You know, that's gonna politic for us, African politicians. You know, African businessmen, African teachers. You know, and we can see some, you know, we can see some momentum grow, and by reflecting back on our history, we can see who, you know, we can see certain things happen because we have elders. Don't think that we ain't got elders who ain't had the same experience, felt the same stresses, had the same open mind about trying to fix the problems we have today. You know, to forget that is to be isolated. To isolate yourself is to cut yourself off from history. You know, cut yourself from the truth. And, you know, the root can't survive long by itself. You know. So, basically, that's pretty much it. You know, find something to agree with before you disagree with. And test friends that's not African. Test them.
Right? That's pitch right there, whole time. Queen, you wanna close out? You got any closing remarks you'd like to express? All right. Well, this been Feet on the Ground Radio. I mean, I thank y'all for coming out tonight. You know what I'm saying? We had a very good dialogue. And the theme for the day is that, you know what I'm saying, at the end of the day, we're going to have to get back into our family harder and stronger. We got to make sure that our eyes are always looking forward, but we cannot forget what's happened in the past. And with that, I like to say my whole chat of BB for Holiday, which means African liberation. Peace. Thanks.